Like you were in a space where you were making history. My name is Henry J. Kamara. I'm a photographer and visual artist from London, and today I'm here to talk about my images from the Black Lives Matter protest. So this was around the time where Tommy Robinson had just put out the threat that he was going to come and be at the Black Lives Matter protest as well. So this was actually on that day, on the Saturday. This guy was actually part of the stand against the Tommy Robinson anti-protest. So he was part of an organization called Love Me Black. His mum had just spoken about her struggle and her journey into the UK, and the fact that despite so many years have been passed, you know, she stands next to her son and listens to her son have a conversation to his generation about the same struggles that she gone
Not
through.
entirely sure why
flair
there's
in
so
the
much
bottom
more
here. I like
dislikes.
how I've captured him mid-speech. He's not necessarily looking at me. It's not like a portrait. It's more of, you know, I'm here and I'm listening to what he's saying, and I've captured that moment. Growing up, you never saw a lot of images like this in the press of, you know, young black men addressing crowds, you know, speaking truth, not necessarily looking particularly dangerous. And I just want to draw attention to this sign at the back, don't let the system get you down. That was the overriding message, you know, understanding that you don't have to let the system make you feel like you can't love yourself and put yourself first. And I think that that's what this moment really culminates for me. It was, you know, at the steps of Trafalgar Square. For me, this is just a very powerful image of unification, solidarity, and just making sure that your voice is heard. There was an occasion when I was going to work, actually. I was going to a meeting, and it was around the time where there was a lot of stabbings in London, and the chief of police had increased their ability to use stop and search as a means to prevent crime. I was approached, and they sort of like said that, was I aware that there had been 7 stabbings in the past 2 weeks in this area, etc., etc. And one of them tries to grab me and says, we're going to search you, and you look suspicious, you might carry a weapon. In that moment, I tried to bring them to the understanding of their conditioning and the reasons as to why they felt I was a threat. It was a moment where I was faced with the reality of what I look like and how it can have an effect on people's perceptions. And I think that that is what I'm most interested in. You know, I understand that perceptions are built off of things that are casually accepted as normal. So this image actually came about from a moment when we received some threats and some objects thrown at us, and we turned around and chose to form a line of solidarity to protect the most vulnerable protesters. And this moment came from 3 young men just linking arms, and I think that it was just super powerful. I think what I am happy with is the composition of the image. I think that there is a nice sort of like rule of thirds going on, and I like the tones and the differences of attire that the 3 guys are wearing and how that presents like a nice contrast. I guess for me, the reason why I chose to specifically capture the linking of arms in this image and not necessarily focus on who the people were specifically was because I wanted this image to be representative of solidarity and unity despite, you know, who you are and where you come from. And I've actually shared the image with Respect, who, you know, is sort of like part of Gangs Unite, and he really liked this image because I think, again, like it just kind of like captures the essence of what they're trying to do. You know, gang truce, despite being from different sides, being able to stand together in solidarity to confront the common enemy. This is probably one of my favorite images, like, ever. I just think because of the moment and what this picture represents, I think it's one of the most powerful images I've taken. So this image came about when we had sort of reconvened on the steps of Trafalgar Square, because I think this image just really captures everybody's spirit, everybody's intent. These guys were sort of like the leaders of the group. His message was particularly at this point making sure that in this moment of solidarity, everybody here understands that they are making a stand against racism. And in order to do so, we must stand together as one.
It's good to protest, but it's not good to steal stuff.
Under
I don't know.
individual groups, and at that moment in time,
I don't know
we
why
had
people
just
use
been
that as an
split up
opportunity
as a
to
group,
steal
and
stuff.
you know,
It's just
people were going off to
bad.
have a fight, and people were being drawn here and there, and there was this moment of culmination back on the stairs of Trafalgar Square. I think one of the most significant signs is this one here. It says, oppose Tommy Robinson and don't let the racists divide us. And can't really see this one fully, but it says, no racist pricks are allowed on this estate. You know where they have these like no ball games are allowed on this estate signs. So this is actually like a remake of that. And I think that, you know, growing up, not being able Being able to play football in your estate is like the biggest violation to your human rights as a 12-year-old kid growing up in a state when, you know, you've got limited access to gardens and grass areas and you want to play football. So I think it's really significant that that sign is being used by a young black person, because in their language, that is the biggest way of like having that. Specifically was because I wanted this image to be representative of solidarity and unity despite, you know, who you are and where you come from. And I've actually shared the image with Respect, who, you know, is sort of like part of Gangs Unite. And he really liked this image because I think, again, like it just kind of like captures the essence of what they're trying to do. You know, gang truce, despite being from different sides, being able to stand together in solidarity to confront the common enemy. This is probably one of my favorite images, like, ever. I just think because of the moment and what this picture represents, I think it's one of the most powerful images I've taken. So this image came about when we had sort of reconvened on the steps of Trafalgar Square, because I think this image just really captures everybody's spirit, everybody's intent. These guys were sort of like the leaders of the group. His message was particularly at this point making sure that in this moment of solidarity, everybody here understands that they are making a stand against racism. And in order to do so, we must stand together as one, not necessarily go off and fight under individual groups. And at that moment in time, we had just been split up as a group, and you know, people were going off to have a fight and people were being drawn here and there, and there was this moment of culmination back on the stairs of Trafalgar Square. I think one of the most significant signs is this one here. It says, oppose Tommy Robinson and don't let the racists divide us. And can't really see this one fully, but it says, no racist pricks are allowed on this estate. You know where they have these like no ball games are allowed on this estate signs. So this is actually like a remake of that. And I think that, you know, growing up, not being able to play football in your estate is like the biggest violation to your human rights as a 12-year-old kid growing up in a state when, you know, you've got limited access to gardens and grass areas and you want to play football. So I think it's really significant that that sign is being used by a young black person.
It's just so you don't destroy other people's property. That's what.
The biggest way.
There's reason
like,
for these rules. I mean, we can't really compare that.
Oh, I actually just noticed the top of Stormzy's head is in this photo. But yeah, I think it's important that the context of this image is understood, and you know, it being in London and it being about the black experience in the UK, I think it adds that context to the image. You know where you are because of the National Gallery, and it just gives that sense of place. And yeah, I'm really happy with this image. If I had to sum up the energy that day, how I was feeling, I think it would probably be profound. Just because, you know, it's one of the first organized protests that I felt so close to. It was infectious because there is a fear, like, that we have when we are by ourselves to like really say what we want. But when you're around people, there's this like shared sense of we're just gonna say whatever the fuck we want, basically. That is so encouraging, and it's a feeling that I can't really describe. Like, it's this sort of like reconnection with what is important. And I think that there's this sort of like sense that everybody walking around had this unity. There was this like, we are all on the same thing, basically. And that was something that I had like never really felt as intensely as I did in that moment, because it was so clear what we were there for and what we were trying to achieve, and it didn't matter like what was in our way, and that was super special. Something that's gonna stay with me for a long time.
I was in Turkey.
Yes, over the course of 2 days, a Chinese
Has he got
SWAT
any new
team.
videos? I want to see his new videos. Any new videos? Oh, no, it's still the same. Let's say ABD China.
Look
yeah,
at this
there's a guy with a broom up there. He's like
Are
lifting
you
the.
serious?
Yeah, I gotta get in front so I can. Look at that.
And a disclaimer. If you are not interested in motorcycles, don't click off. Do you know why? Because we're just going to be riding through the villages of Vietnam, and you might find that interesting. You can look at all these like split pigs and stuff.
Yeah,
It's fascinating.
there's all sorts of stuff going on here.
Wow, I actually really like this. It's really good. I think
Hello?
I prefer that than this. Yeah, I prefer. Yeah.
Hey, they got Milo.
What's
I'll
Milo?
keep that though, just
You
in
don't,
case.
you don't know Milo?
If I want to go back to
I don't know Milo.
It's awesome.
What is it?
what should
It's
I do?
kind of like a chocolate milk, but it's not really. It's like
I'd rather have water.
I know, but you gotta
Oh,
try
I do.
Milo.
I do know Milo.
You do know Milo?
Yeah, it's got milk in it, so I can't have it.
Oh, really?
There's
It's
water down
calcium,
there.
calcium plus, bro.
Those look
Milo,
like,
calcium
almost look like
plus.
fake waters.
They do. Look at
But
them
I
there.
still am gonna drink it.
They have
or I'll
Levy in the
die.
back.
Oh, they do?
Yeah, grab a Levy. We can share it and
Okay. Oh, that one feels faker.
really.
That's like squishy.
Dude,
This
like-
is how you know, guys.
Look at this. Come
What's
on.
this?
Wow.
That's been refilled.
This one has not.
Oh.
Okay.
Oh, I'm missing that.
Do they have
oh,
any other water?
no.
No, that's all
Oh,
bad.
here.
Okay, yeah, I'll get one of them too.
This feels the best. These Dasanis.
Yeah, get a couple dishonest ones.
This is a little lesson for you guys.
Yeah.
How to find fake water. If the bottle squishes, it's rebottled,
Yes.
and you'll get a lot of that in Southeast Asia, and particularly China.
Yeah.
You know,
Oh, yeah.
Agreed.
these. 55.
Okay. Take it.
Okay.
55 thou.
Mhm.
$5,000.
She can help you.
Give you. Okay. Don't take more.
She's not.
Go take more.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you. Come on.
Yeah. Come on.
I just want to get 3 so I know.
Well, you know, Sea Milk right there is busy looking at topics that we're going to talk about, right?
Is
Bit quiet. Oh, there we go.
he's my best friend. He's also a douche sometimes.
That's me.
Like whenever you put the camera on me and I'm not ready.
Yeah. So what we're going to be discussing is what should your first bike be? You know, we're in a country here right now full of bikes. We've got people whizzing past. And, you know, bikes are a way of life here. If you don't have these are not what I'd really call bikes. They're more like underbone scooters, most of them, like that thing over there. Like that guy is sitting on over there. But if you were to get into riding a bike, we're going to give you our thoughts and suggestions on what your first bike should be. The best first bike for you.
And a disclaimer. If you are not interested in motorcycles, don't click off. Do you know why? Because we're just going to be riding through the villages of Vietnam, and you might find that interesting. You can look at all these like split pigs and stuff.
Yeah,
It'll be fascinating.
There's all sorts of stuff going on here. So we're going to talk about what bike we suggest you get. And on top of that, we're going to give you a little bit of our own bike histories. So let's hit the road and do this.
Yeah. Oh, Destiny on K-pop.
This year, I want to do something
Been
different,
offending a lot of
something
people.
bit special.
Doing those really lovely things.
Our time
Can
is
any
precious.
character
We
touch
should
mother
make the
up?
most out of every
Yeah,
day.
well,
Food brings
that's quite
people
good.
together.
This
and
man
it's
had
a
to
great
be
way
tried.
to bring new traditions to
That
the
weeb
holiday.
debate was such a left field for me. Holy shit. Destiny versus K-pop. God, it's so bare amazing.
Every motherfucker at that table they were
See, it's
glaring at me.
Destiny
I think
debate.
I am the final boss of the K-pop debate.
I'll give a really hot take actually, because I like triggering you.
Literally ran away because he was like upset that he couldn't be friends with people because his big brother killed his parents. Like, boo, who?
You need to see all the sides of like being a hero, which includes a healthy amount of failure as well. I do wonder sometimes if the reason why we get such insanely strong like female characters is because people are scared to show that like women can fail like men can fail. It feels really weird. Last night, oh god, I felt so powerful. Okay, I felt so powerful. Last night I went to Din Tai Fung, and there was I don't know who they were, and I didn't want to like stare at them. They sounded like people that were either like YouTubers or involved in some type of entertainment industry. They just, the way that they were talking. Okay, I don't know. I felt like they were being kind of obnoxious. I felt like they were being a little name droppy. Okay, felt to me like these guys had a high sense of importance, and it was bothering me.
Dropping.
They just like would just be like, oh yeah, like when I went to blah 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 blah, like naming all these places. It had a name droppy vibe to me. Okay, I pick out these vibes real easy, and it was a name droppy vibe. Right? You know, I'm just eating. I don't care that much. Okay, and then when we get up to leave,
oh god.
As we get it to leave, one of the servers comes up to me and he's like, oh my god, he's like, are you Destiny? Can I get a photo? I'm like one of your biggest fans. Oh my god, I felt like my balls were huge.
Did he give you a discount?
No, he didn't. I joked about it. But every motherfucker at that table, they were glaring at me. They were like, who's this motherfucker? And I was like, that's right. I'm an omni-liberal. I do politics on I bet you had sweatpants on you. I sure did.
Oh,
man. I wore last night. That's right. Balling out.
I love that dog.
This guy. I don't understand these restaurants. So I show up at the restaurant. They're open for 30 more minutes. And I'm like, hey, do you have a table for 3? And he's like, sorry, no. We only do reservation only. Which is dumb, because I know they have slots open. I was like, okay. So we walk out. I open Yelp. And I make a reservation for 5 minutes.
21 years
and I come back, and I'm like, oh, hey, I think I had a reservation. Can you check out Stephen Bonnell? And he's like, oh, yeah, well, I guess it's in 4 minutes. Yeah, come on in. What the fuck is the point? I don't understand. I'm confused. So are you red pill, black pill, or liberal?
You're not ban this fucker.
I am what is known as an omni.
You want to become famous by followers,
Basically, think about any political or labeled, any kind of ideology you can think of.
But still,
take all of the true things from all of those ideologies and then combine them into one thing.
They're just contrarian guys. Like,
no,
fuck
shut
off,
up.
Man.
Go watch
That's
more.
Where you'll hit it.
Go watch One Piece.
You just want to see him. Here he is. Hi, Steve.
Need an online video? Go to Fiverr.com and find a video animator in seconds. Or don't go to Fiverr and waste your time interviewing 50 animators.
I prefer a motion specialist.
Next. Get your online video quickly and easily at Fiverr.com.
Man, what a fucking troll. Like, go fuck yourself. Jeez, that was weird. But it says like HP whatever click.room. So you know that's a Russian server. So I just know full well it's a Russian troll. Like, fuck up.
You're gonna say something,
honestly.
Yeah.
Just fucking coming on my stream, just fucking putting that shit on.
Pretty much.
Oh my god. Can you tell him what I carry in my pocket all day?
K-pop debate. I wonder what you want to talk about.
Yeah, dog. I'm just curious about how you arrived to your conclusion about the statement you made about K-pop. Kind of hurt my feelings because I really respected you for a long time.
I just think that the entire culture surrounding K-pop and the fakeness and everything around it, I just think is like super ultra fucking cancerous.
Oh yeah,
Like,
I agree with that.
How much do you pay attention to like
it is
actual,
really
like the K-pop community?
Is
or
this
just like the Twitter shit?
They all look like
it's like small Twitter shit. I
It
used to
can't
a lot
look
more
like
back in the
just
StarCraft
normal
days, but like it
fucking
just
Korean.
reeks of over commercialization and fakeness and like.
Yeah, I can
stop
agree
looking
with
like
some of
absolute
that, but like I don't know. From the outside looking in, I can see how you.
I heard there was this
But
I think it was.
I don't
I'm
know,
gonna
dog,
watch
you should maybe
this.
do
I'm
some
gonna
more
check
research
it, but
because
there
that
was
shit was
thing
cringe as
on
fuck.
Vice
Okay.
Where
So-
these Americans tried to be K-pop.
No, I think that
and
the
no
only
one
thing that I would
accepts
agree
it
with is that it
because, like,
does
you know,
set,
it's like they say, oh, it's a K-pop,
unrealistic,
it should be only K-pop. And you kind of like
beauty standards for a lot
but
of women.
K-pop
but,
is basically
that's about the only thing that I really agreed with.
integrated from like this
At least in the
American
it's like
pop.
problematic how hardcore they like farm out these girls.
So basically,
and,
they
like,
took
pit them against
American
each other
pop
how
and
miserable everybody
integrated
is
it into
and,
the
like all the
call
crazy
it
restrictions and the little
K-pop.
pay.
I mean, but
And you
don't they
kinda
do
like-
that in like, you know, like all those like
Why-
types of survival
isn't
shows,
that a
even in
bit
like the US, like
hypocritical?
X
It's like-
Factor
it's
and things
just
like
weird.
that? Don't they do that same kind of thing there? I don't know.
Yeah, but I think it's a
feel
little
like it's a
different
double
because
standard.
in those shows, that's the point of the show is that it's misery-inducing and they have to survive it. But K-pop, like everybody looks like they're happy all the time and getting along and blah blah blah, but
When
that's
they're
just a
really
total lie.
You think it's all a lie all the time?
It's all a lie.
Those people are like,
Oh,
those
God.
people can be like ripped away from each other at a moment's notice. If somebody's like not conforming with the group, or if somebody they replace them or whatever, then like I think that all those businesses and the performers in there are like super duper ruthless and a lot of the times like pretty miserable as well.
Yeah.
I think that there are a lot of companies that are like that, but I usually listen to it twice, and that's JYP Entertainment. I feel like they are held to a different standard. But again, I don't know how much I can really delve into this because I'm not sure how how much you really know about K-pop and like
Are the JYP performers or whatever? Are those guys allowed to
Yeah.
date? Or are they forced to be single too?
No, they're allowed to date.
The reason why a lot of
three
people
or four
like
of them have
K-pop
boyfriends.
and it's become so popular,
And one's
because
actually
they
taking
make it
time
so
off right now
fake.
because
Like
she's having a
people
lot of
like
like
this thing
anxiety
about
and mental
having a really
problems,
good, perfect
and
life,
like they're just letting her
and they
like,
look
and
up
they
to them
just
because it
released like
seems
a new
like they're
song a
having
couple
a
days
good,
ago, or like a couple weeks
cool,
ago,
popular,
and so she's
really
just not
easy
performing.
life. Really
So
good
yeah,
aim.
I mean,
So it's
they're
almost like they're
definitely
just
bad companies,
bullying
but
people right now.
I try and not financially support.
I mean,
the
yeah, they
companies that
get
I
a
do
crap
think
load
that
of
are
money,
bad.
but still, it's not like their life is perfect.
Awesome. Okay. So I won,
These
right?
people have to work hard and just live through
Alright,
misery
damn it.
most of
But I love you. You can
quite
have
a
the
bit of
win,
the
okay?
time.
Sure.
Yes. Poggers. All right. Thanks, Doug.
Pog champ, dude. Bye.
I guess there's no
Alright,
such
another
thing as a
K-pop
perfect
debater.
life, though.
Okay, everyone's really excited for this one, okay? I think I am the final boss of the K-pop debate, okay?
Okay.
I'm convinced. I am the founder of a company called Spark Consulting and Analytics. Okay, we do small-scale consulting for mainly Korean esports, like cross-ocean sort of business operations. I feel like I'm fairly familiar with the Korean pop industry, and I'd like to kind of get to know your position a little bit more, Destiny.
Yeah, I feel like the whole industry is like capitalism on fucking steroids. Feels like hyper consumerist. Feels incredibly fucking fake. Feels like you're selling people an idea of reality that's not resembling reality whatsoever.
Yeah.
And yeah, I just don't like that, I guess.
Okay, cool. So I've heard you make a few more specific points about it, and I'd like to address those a little.
Go for it.
So first, I'd like to talk to you about the definition, like what you're defining as K-pop. Can you define that for me? Like, what are you
Sure.
talking
When I say
about
K-pop,
specifically?
I'm talking about like the groups and the culture surrounding them, not necessarily the music. Or almost
Okay, so
not
you're
even
talking
the
about
music.
specifically like idol groups.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Do you have any take on the like standards of labor? Is that part of your opinion on K-pop?
A little bit. The contracts seem somewhat exploitative, from what I've heard in the past, but I think that's gotten better, right? Where they used to pull these people out of schools when they were like fucking 9 years old and shit, and like start rehearsing them and working them to death until they might kick them out at 14 or whatever, like crazy shit. Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, I'd like to sort of clarify that is more of like an archaic practice in the industry. Now it happens at like the lower cap levels, but when you have as much capital as like the big three publishing companies like SM, YG, JYP, these companies have enough capital to where they don't need to resort to those types of methods. And in fact, that's often actually counterproductive now because they can basically scout talent from any sort of Asian music school or dance school that's already been matured. They don't have to guess like they used to on younger trainees because of sort of how the industry has matured. And now you talk about like this sort of fakeness, right? I think this is really interesting. Could you like explain to me the difference between an idol going on VLive and like kind of putting on a persona and per se like Saikuno or like the average like Raj persona? Like, is there a real tangible difference there?
Not that much, no.
Okay. That's great.
Well, hold on.
I mean, well, it's great because
are you expecting me to defend those personalities though? Because I'll be
No,
critical of
I'm
those
not
for similar
expecting you
reasons.
to. I
Okay,
just
okay.
want you. I just wanted you to clarify that there's no tangible difference between the fakeness present there and the fakeness present in Twitch. I totally agree. Both are bad. Fucking hate like Saikuno, as a personality. and
My
character.
problem with fakeness, the only problem that I have with fakeness
to be
is
fair,
that
he
it's
hates
presented as
Saikuno
reality.
'cause he
So,
seems
for
to
instance,
be-
I have no problem going.
I
to
know,
movies.
he seemed to be a very likable guy.
cut out after
and, like, you get people
when
hating
people
him
present
because,
fake
you know, they're not
personalities as
likable.
real,
They're not
that's
likable.
usually where
I
my
mean, I'm not
problems
a
come in.
likable
So
person.
I don't mind going to
I
watch a
don't
movie
hate
because it's like I
Saikuno
know
because
they're
he
all
puts that
actors and
fake
everybody knows they're all
personality.
actors.
You
And
know
that's kind of the point.
If he's a fake
But if you're
personality,
engaged
that's
in
actually his
long-form
personality.
content
I
with
just
content creators
don't
that are
really care.
selling some
I'm just
idea,
there for
but
content.
it's not real, that kind of bothers me. So, for instance, like something that oh god, we need to stop talking about incel shit. But something that bothers me kind of is that like I happen to know of a lot of like female creator. Wait, did I?
Sorry.
Oh, what?
You cut out there just a little. I thought you stopped.
Oh,
Sorry.
yeah.
Keep going.
Do-
Sorry.
do- yeah, so like female creators, for instance, that will constantly complain about being single and present this like sad girl image and shit about how
Yeah,
they
sure.
like can't find a guy when they're like dating somebody. Like I know of at least 2 people that do this. Yeah, like that kind of
Complain
stuff.
about
is
being
what I
single for
don't
like 2 days.
Yeah, so I'd agree with this. I think that
Jeez.
like it's very important to also understand that these aren't like K-pop
Try to be
specific
single
things.
for
These are
single
like
for 5
Asian
years.
culture types of
Live
things,
10.
right? So like when we talk about dating standards and stuff, this is very much like a China, Japan, Korea, like that. It's ingrained within like their entertainment cultures and their pop cultures, like in general, right? This isn't just like a music artist specific thing in Korea. It's like most public figures who are involved in entertainment in these countries.
Oh, I heard
typically
K-pops
have to-
can't get
And even
boyfriends
more
or
widely,
girlfriends.
like,
they
pop
have
culture in the
to be
world.
single.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, I think I
Jeez,
do.
the kind of
I think like the
relationship,
West
that's
deserves
hard.
some degree of appreciation for how it's like not like the anti-dating. I think that that's like a very slippery slope. And you see like actually, I think the Westernization of K-pop in a sense has actually done a lot for the idols. In that sense, where like the Western fans are actually much more supportive of the dating and stuff, and actually kind of like it. So it's actually kind of enabled the industry to move in a more healthy direction, kind of like influence the culture in that way. So like, can you like give me like another like specific thing about K-pop, like that's not just like something that you can find in like most predatory entertainment industries, or like even semi-predatory, like just like the
I mean,
things-
I don't know if my criticisms were necessarily like that hyper specific towards K-pop. Like I think a lot of the criticisms that I would levy towards K-pop, I would also probably levy to a lot of pop culture at large. That like you're selling unrealistic standards and images to people, that oftentimes the underlying artists themselves are nowhere near what they portray themselves to be, and then all of this kind of leads to like the some
that's
form of
just not
degradation of
K-pop,
society
that's
in
like all
exchange
the
for
other,
like
like,
some company getting like really rich selling image to people.
genres,
Like,
like, even,
I just think
a lot
K-pop
of
does that,
American
or at
pop
least did that
stars.
very, 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 very well. Maybe better than Western people sometimes. So like for instance, like the easiest one to point out is like the plastic surgery, the beauty standards for women in South Korea, like all basically looking like copy-pasted clones of one another, like stuff like that.
Yeah, okay. I think I mostly agree with you. That was like my objective coming in here, was just to like get you to.
Yeah, I
roll
don't think
back on me.
K-pop
Like,
is
K-pop is specific to
uniquely
like
bad,
more like
yeah.
okay, there's a selection of trends here that reflect overall entertainment industry trends that kind of sort of materialize in K-pop, maybe like more vibrantly than in other places, and maybe in like a slightly higher collection that like is more visible. But yeah, that's basically all I'm here for.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Thanks for your time, Destiny. I appreciate it.
All right, I love you. Be careful, buddy. What a
Is that
fucking
it?
loser.
Damn.
Sorry, just kidding.
The show? Bro, you're so dumb. Oh my god. John, you're falling apart right now.
Dude, you.
Okay, let's do that. Let's go to this one. Mega Professor. Is that Trump?
$25,000.
Obama was
This
a
is how much
CIA
you would have
test.
today if you have invested only $1,000 10 years ago in Amazon.
The company is
Imagine basing your entire political philosophy off Obama was a
While
CIA
the world
test
is shopping
shooter
on
movie,
Amazon,
like, with
investors are making millions from its stock.
all the buzzwords.
Just this year.
Application to come into this focus group.
Well, I would not say I could never vote for him. I'm sorry.
You wrote that you were possible.
Mate, these Destiny baits are so easy.
Personally, I think that celebrating somebody's death is always a little bit tacky, but I mean, like, there is a special tinge of irony here that, like, fuck.
Yeah,
like,
there is.
It's like, I'm sorry.
man,
dude.
he talks to
This
the
is like
most
your friend
crazy
bragging about,
people.
like, not driving with a seatbelt for, like, 2 years, and then gets in a car accident and is thrown from the car and instantly killed while all the other passengers survive without injuries. It's like,
And everybody just kind of like, yeah, you know.
yeah. It's sad, you know, dying sucks, but he didn't do himself any favors. Chris Wallace says Trump arrived too late to the...
Hey, what's this?
Yeah, there is.
It's like, I'm sorry, dude, but this is like your friend bragging about, like, not driving with a seatbelt for, like, 2 years, and then gets in a car accident and is thrown from the car and instantly killed while all the other passengers survive without injuries. It's like...
And everybody just kind of like, yeah, you know.
Yeah. It's sad, you know, dying sucks, but he didn't do himself any favors. Chris Wallace says Trump arrived too late to the debate to get tested and use the honor system. Oh, shit. How fucked up, dude. What does that mean? That means that, like, everybody that showed up to the debate had to be tested prior to going in. And, apparently he didn't, and he just said he was, and he lied about it.
You probably said he got like tested like the day before, or like that day or whatever.
Yeah, maybe, Biden's about to test positive? No, Biden already tested negative. How rude, dude. Man, I get tested for hooking up with people. I try to be consistent. That's why I got my COVID-19 test a week ago. You couldn't even get tested for a goddamn presidential debate? What the fuck? Holy shit.
One thing to all of
Hold
the
on, 20
people out there watching.
Right, let's get to the debate. Where's the debate?
Forget the politics. This is a public safety health issue. The president.
Is this it? No.
I would trust that Biden's administration is going to deliver us better answers on policy, whether it's domestic and foreign, than a Trump administration with the same Trump leading it ever.
Talking about.
Yep.
And Laura, in one sentence. I mean, just one sentence for you guys.
I've always loved sci-fi. And the idea of being right on the edge of...
Skip do.
Laura, one sentence. Why do you think Pence won?
I felt that he was a lot more composed. I don't know. I just wasn't a fan of her continual facial expressions. I don't know.
The
I just
laughing
felt like
without
he was
giving a
also
good
more
answer
composed.
afterwards makes you look weak.
Kurt, one sentence.
Oh, no, I wanted to see him talking to people and not look at who he is.
Me.
Oh shit, hey, what's up?
Hey, what up?
Hey. My duders. Okay.
Hello.
Let's set some ground rules before
Here
we
we go.
before we start. Let's set some ground rules, okay? Number one, every analogy I use is clear and purposeful. If you don't understand it or you think it doesn't apply, please correct me immediately, and I will explain why I believe it applies. If you think that what I'm using is bizarre or you think it doesn't fit, then don't engage with it. Tell me why you don't think it fits, and we'll either find another analogy or I'll explain why it does. That's rule number one. Rule number two, if I use a word that is too big for you, or you think that I'm trying to obfuscate or cause confusion about a point, then tell me. Do not hide behind this idea that I use big words to make things sound confusing. Literally, one of the largest strengths that I have as a streamer over my 9 years of doing this is that I am incredibly good at breaking down complicated topics in ways that everybody can understand. It is literally my number one strength.
Would you say that you can break down the perfunctory manner in which our general malaise?
I honest to God, I don't know what malaise means. What is that, like your day-to-day living or whatever?
Wait. So
What?
you have better words than us, but you don't know that word?
I'm not the one that's claiming that I have better words than you. You're the one that said that I hide behind.
You just came in here and you're like, here's some ground rules. You must understand that I have big words and I use them. What are you fucking kidding me? No! Fuck off!
So in the video that you made, where you pretended to be me, you literally gave one of the straw men. Okay, I'm sorry, it's not just me. You just put on a hoodie to look like me, and you literally copied my background and were imitating getting Twitch bits for saying things. Maybe it wasn't supposed to be me, but for some reason, I think a lot of people will walk away from that video with the impression that you're probably kind of like showing some of my talking points. I think that's a fair assessment, okay?
Oh, I am using your talking points, though.
Well, no, I'm contesting
These
right
are
now.
your talking points?
No, I'm saying that you are claiming these are my talking points. I don't believe these are my talking points. I believe these are highly idealized, super strawman versions of my talking points, and we'll walk through them.
All right.
Okay, cool. Well, I only made it about 25 minutes of the way through the video. I don't have health insurance coverage, so I'm too scared to watch the rest. So we'll just go over the first half plus, because we're probably not even gonna make it through half of this, but that's fine. Okay. So I noticed in the beginning. So okay, and also. Please, hold on. If you disagree with something I say, don't run away from all your points and then take 20 showers to think of the perfect response and then make another video shitting on me later. You disagree, say it now. Or you can say it now that you disagree and make a video shitting on me. But please don't pussy out of all of your points and then make a video later and be like, oh, well, this is everything you said that was so stupid, so wrong. There are 3 of you here. I don't know if Lucid Fox is participating. If I say something dumb, between all your brains combined, you should be able to figure it out and tell me why I'm wrong about something, or give me something to think about, okay? I don't think I'm smarter than all of you combined, even though you seem to think I think of myself as a highly intellectual, big-brained person, but so
You did just come in here and say, like, ground rules. I know big words.
No, I set that as a ground rule because I noticed that a lot of the times when I talk to people that end up having shit arguments, you all hide behind the same set of excuses. You guys did it, the Nazis do it, the dumb centrists do it, where you say,
You're
oh,
literally making an excuse up front, though, saying, like, your arguments are so good because you have good words.
No. I'm sorry. Hold on. Let me back up and say this way slower, because I see we're already getting lost, okay? If you disagree with an argument, or if you think I'm using language to cause confusion about a particular point,
Chat told me
tell
to
me.
give you bits
Don't
for the
get
mean
don't
PLS,
get
kick me
confused
out
by a
of the
point I make
hello.
now, and then later say, oh, Destiny just hides behind big words when he debates. Because a lot of people do that. A lot of people walk away and they say, oh, he used debate tactics. Oh, he used big words.
Oh,
That is
yeah,
not true.
true.
I
So
let
what
people...
you're saying-
People
You're saying that other people do a thing that I'm not going to do?
No, you've already
and
done this
that
in your
you're-
video.
You're ascribing this to... Yeah,
Yeah.
This is the point.
You've already-
Like, you're taking a problem that you have with other people. I'm not going to complain about your language at all. I have a good vocabulary.
Then why in your video did you say, big words, bits donation, haha?
Because you do realize that you're validating your audience who does also have big words, right?
No.
That's the point.
So, okay, so then you do admit that it's a claim that you made about me. Why did you just say that it wasn't about me? And then say that, well, you do this for your audience. Which one is it? You have to pick one.
Like, what do you want? Like, what answer do you want?
So
Like, I
are
don't
you
understand.
accusing me of using big words to make my arguments more confusing because my audience
No,
can follow it?
I'm saying you use big words because your audience likes it. That's not really a big deal, I don't think.
Do you think that I use big words to intentionally muddy the waters? Or do you think I just use big...
necessarily.
Then why would
I
you
think
include it
that
as an
everybody-
argumentation against me? If
because
you
at
just
the end
think
of
I
the
use
day-
big words, why would you put that in a video unless you thought that I was doing it in
That
an
was a
illegitimate
nervous
manner?
laugh,
When you
but
present
that
that
was a
alongside a
nervous
ton of
laugh,
other
though.
arguments that you perceive as illegitimate, you think it's pretty easy for me to see that, oh, he says I say big words. Like, if I were to go up to someone and it's like, oh, that dude, he's a Nazi, he's a pedophile, he's a child abuser, and he's a clown.
Okay,
Somebody would
so-
probably look at that and go like, well, what the fuck is wrong with clowns? Be like, well, nothing's wrong with clowns. I just decided to list it alongside all those other negative traits, right? You don't think that I could read that as you saying that I use...
using big words is a lot like being a pedophile.
Okay, let me extract this and okay, this is great. We're at our first analogy, okay? If I'm describing something, some object, and I say, hey, here's trait A, B, C, and D, and all of those traits are universally negative. And then I say, and he also has trait E. Do you think it would be fair to assume E is probably negative like the other listed traits? Or do you think that I shouldn't assume that at all?
Well, I'm not sure exactly what the point here is.
Okay,
Is,
let
I
me
guess,
try it
my-
one more
if
time.
you-
That's
if
okay.
you
No.
don't mind slowing down.
Sure. Yeah, I'll do it with three examples. Let's say that I say,
Sure.
let's say somebody goes like, oh, well, what do you think about this person? I go, oh, I don't like that person. They have trait A, B, and C. Let's say that A and B are very negative traits, and then C is like,
Okay.
We would probably assume that C is a negative trait as well because it's listed alongside
okay,
other.
I get what you're getting at.
Okay, so when you tell me when you make a video and you present all of these horrible things about the points I'm making, and you also say Andy says big words, kind of seems like you're accusing me of just saying big words to muddy the waters. I'm not doing it in a legitimate
so
fashion.
you don't think that it's funny that I said that?
We're not talking about whether it's funny or not. We're talking about whether it's a valid attack on my position, right?
Well, it's
from,
not
from my
fully-
point of view. I think what you're going for, Destiny, is maybe not understanding the performative nature of the video, where he's trying to do it more for like a sense of parody than a actual
Like, it
hit
is-
piece, right? Like,
Okay, can you
Yeah,
identify
again-
so that we don't waste any time, okay? Because we've already begun the backpedaling. That's fine. Can you identify what other arguments are used in this video just for comedy so that I don't have to waste my time addressing them?
Okay,
Because
the
holy fuck, what a waste of my time. Oh my god. Tell me which arguments are about the memes and the jokes now so that I don't have to waste my time addressing them. Or is that the only one?
Every time that I'm on screen, that is the comedy element of it, and every time I'm off screen, I'm addressing something that has nothing to do with you.
Okay, so every time... So your arguments about whether or not I'm saying people are stupid or people can't deal with facts or that people
It's
pick...
not just you, dude.
Okay,
It's an aggregate.
I'm sorry.
There are a lot of people, like, that's literally, like,
Okay,
how
sure.
people operate on Twitter.
So okay, hold on. Okay, so let's back up and ask another question. Are you saying that this video doesn't target me specifically a little bit more than...
It definitely does that. It definitely
Then why are
uses
you saying it's an
image.
aggregate when it's the example that you're trying to counter, the 70 workers who are white versus the 30 workers that are black, is literally an example from one of my debates. So
Oh, yeah. Well, it was from our debate, because I went into my other arguments for that, because I think it's silly.
okay, so in some ways it is about me. It's not just an aggregate. You've
Yes,
chosen me
correct.
as the focal
Yes,
figure
you're part
to...
of the aggregate, yes.
Okay. That's not no. That's not how that sentence that you just made. No, that sentence that you just made.
You're like a pie in the pie chart.
No. That sentence that
Yes,
you
yes,
just
yes, it
made
does.
doesn't make sense. If I see a black guy walk into my store and I say, I'm going to arrest you for stealing, and he goes, whoa, I don't steal. And I go, well, statistically speaking, black people steal more than white people. And you go, whoa, that's not fair to group me in with the aggregate. And I go, ha, you're part of the aggregate, buddy. That's not how that works, right? That is exactly the same. That's what you're saying. You're telling me
That's
that
exactly the same.
you are both specific.
What's an aggregate?
So you have both.
You think that the context of that is worth comparing to the context
Oh,
of
wait,
what
wait,
I just
aggregate.
set up? That's utterly ridiculous.
Oh, okay. Well, that's great. Let me go ahead and explain why. So you are
Aggregate, a
specifically
whole
putting
form
me as a
combining
figure that
several
you're targeting,
separate
okay?
elements,
You've done it by
materials
using my
for the
analogies and by using an image of me that is like literally
You're literally
copying.
arguing
Formed
against
or
what comedy
calculate-
is, dude.
to
I
calculate
exaggerated
equal-
Okay, wait. Okay,
because
that's wait.
it's funny.
That's great.
Form
Then
or
let's
group
back up
into
again.
class or
Okay, that's
cluster.
awesome.
Oh,
So can we go
right,
back
so
to the
I
other
think
thing
this
I
is
said?
what it
Tell me
is.
which parts of this video I'm not supposed to take seriously. This is like the Trump defense. Tell me which parts of this video are just comedy so we don't have to waste time arguing about them.
Okay.
You're literally
don't-
using a
don't
Steven
argue
Crowder
with
argument.
The image of yourself. then.
Okay.
That's the-
So
what
basically,
you
he's
do.
saying he's
Then why
part
are
of the
you
class
using
of
that image of myself to launch
Because-
legitimate
Oh.
counter
What are
arguments?
you
these
doing right now?
stereotypes.
What are you
Okay,
doing
I'll get
right
that.
now with me? What are you doing? You are literally.
That's why he's
talking to
arrested.
your
So
audience
that's what he's
filled
like.
with 4,500 people, and you're literally giving me attention. That was the point. You figured it out.
So the whole video is just a meme for attention. You don't actually believe in any of the lefty bullshit.
Oh,
Hey,
no,
listen,
I
if
believe-
you admit
I
that
believe
shit,
in
then you know what?
overall
Amen, brother. If you want to tell me, because literally, this is actually so meta. Because you accuse me in your video of grifting, but in reality, you're the grifter. You just do it for fucking memes. Is that what's going on here?
It's just I know how to use you because I know exactly what you do. You literally troll around on Twitter all fucking day trying to find shit that you think people are gonna get angry about, and then you bring it onto your stream.
I'm not gonna lie,
and then you
but
get people
Destiny
angry,
do
and then
say
you-
the most
you put 'em on,
controversial
put 'em
stuff.
onto your stream, and you're like, oh, but what's this? What's this? And then you try to put
But
out
most
the
of it
best
tends to be
person,
true.
the best view of it, the best idea of it, and you know what? Lots of people concede because it's actually usually a rational position.
Okay,
And you know
I
what?
have lost jobs. Okay, I have lost positions in corporations.
lost
No,
jobs.
no. Because you're accusing
had a
you're
life
accusing
too.
the least grifting person in the world of grifting right now. Like,
Dude,
I'm
you
not.
troll Twitter for shit. No, don't even
I do,
start.
you
No,
say
I'm
that I troll Twitter, but when I brought you on here, to
absolutely not accepting that premise.
when I brought you on
Absolutely
here to
not.
talk,
No,
okay.
no,
Let's
no.
wait. Okay, go
I
ahead and
said
go ahead and
you're
find a
not
Twitter
going-
take that I've
No,
given.
I'm
Find
not
a Twitter
taking it.
take that
I'm
that
not-
I've given that you can
flat out
disagree with.
not- I'm not listening to it.
Okay.
I'm not listening to it.
Okay.
It's bullshit. You know it's bullshit. You know
Wait,
your
which part is
business
bullshit?
model.
I want you to
It
find
works.
one of my Twitter takes that you don't think I'll defend right now. I'll do it. We'll wait. I'll wait 20 minutes. All three of you can go and search my Twitter and find one fucking take that I've given that you don't think I'll
fuck.
defend.
Dude.
Yeah?
I don't think that you're saying things you don't believe. I think that you're saying things in the most spicy way you can in order to bring other people in that will be angry at it.
But
And
the
then
difference is,
you
the
modify
difference
it.
is, the difference is
But
between
he's
you
not
and
showing
you
an
is that when
example.
people come onto my platform to attack me about what I've said on Twitter, I'll defend every single thing I said. But you're sitting here, oh, it was just, it was comedy, dude. It was just a joke. It was just comedy, man. You've already backpedaling.
correct.
You're backpedaling off of your shower arguments. How
backpedaling.
can you even do that? It's like a hypothetical backpedal off of arguments that haven't even really happened.
No, no, dude. So, like, there shouldn't be, like, Saturday Night Live. There shouldn't be, like, The Daily Show. Those things shouldn't exist because, like, if you phrase something in a manner that is slightly exaggeratory or in a manner that isn't exactly the thing that you mean, for the
It's
sake
not
of comedy,
about
that shouldn't
being
exist.
It's not about being exactly the same as my argument. It's about totally missing the character of my argument. You're totally mischaracterizing it. And you're missing the essence of every single thing I'm
You're
arguing.
missing the character of like the character.
That it's all comedy and none of it is real, and I shouldn't take any point seriously out of all of this.
No, that's not true. You should take it seriously. But you shouldn't take it seriously in the way that you're taking it seriously.
Okay, sorry. Tell
That
me,
does
Trump, how
not
am I
make
supposed to take this seriously?
You should take this seriously as, yes, this is something that is not necessarily the worst thing in the world for me. This is not a personal attack. I'm not actually coming at you as
Okay,
though
I didn't say it was the worst thing in the world for me, okay? None of this hurts me or
You're
damages
sure
me.
acting like it.
No,
You're
I'm
literally
acting
coming
like
up
I
with-
have a set of...
You're making Google Docs, dude. You're literally you're acting as though this is an important thing in your life. It's not.
It
It's
is.
not
This
an
is my
important thing in your
job.
life.
This has been my job for 9 years.
No,
I
it's
care about what I
not.
talk about. Yeah, I
My
do.
video is not your job.
People that respond to my positions in critical ways require me to critically analyze them. And politics is probably
they
like
were-
the majority of why I'm not online. So yeah, to some extent, this kind of punditry,
Okay,
whatever you call
this
it, is my job. Okay,
I'm
cool. Then we're
pointing
both doing
out
our
that
jobs
that's
right now.
what you do.
Don't hide behind it and say it's just comedy. This is what we do for work.
It's what you get paid for. If you get paid
Okay,
for it,
so
then
like
it's your
what I
job.
just said
Simple
was
as
not.
that.
This is not. Look, I like you're arguing with something that I didn't say.
Wait, what did I just argue with that you didn't say?
You just said don't hide behind it, saying it's just comedy.
You
it's your
literally,
job,
when
but,
I'm
like,
pointing out the
that's
straw
conflating
man-
My job with like, what are you talking about?
Wait, hold on. I am pointing out the straw man arguments that you use in the video to represent my position. You tell me, well, those straw mans don't count; they're just comedy. And I'm accusing you of hiding behind
Oh
comedy.
no, they count. You're more than welcome to refute them, but like you're coming at me like I'm really making a very
When I
like,
tried to refute them
Oh, okay,
earlier,
playing
you
the
told
big
me that I
turf.
couldn't.
pushing on your
No,
turf. Like this
no,
isn't gonna
it's
hurt
not
you.
about turf.
You
We
know
don't
that.
occupy the same space, and I don't give a fuck about turf. I don't know what you mean by that. When I tried to attack one of your points earlier, You hid behind the idea that it was comedy. You told me, oh, well, the big words part, that was just a joke. So my next question was to ask you...
You did come in here and literally set ground rules about your big fucking words, dude.
I didn't set ground rules about my big words. I said ground rules...
Don't fucking say you didn't.
The ground...
Shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck
shit.
up. No, absolutely not. No. Absolutely fucking not.
The ground rules that I said in here...
You came in here. No, you said ground rules, guys. I use really big words, and if you don't get those words because they're obfuscating my fucking arguments, no, shut the fuck up.
He said, if you don't understand
You
those big
literally
words,
in your
just
video
ask
accuse
him
me
because
of...
Dude,
I'm not...
backpedaling. Stop it. You're backpedaling.
he doesn't want people to accuse
my
him
God.
as using big words to...
Why couldn't you just act like this the
confuse
first time we
people and
talked,
stuff
instead of
like
like
that.
leaving
And
a
a lot
little
of
comment?
people
I mean,
use that
I'm really
against-
happy to talk to you again.
So
Should be fun in the
many
future.
after we talked that fucking suck.
You saw a lot of things before we talked that sucked, and guess what? When you came on, you ran away from every single point. That's why even right now, you can't point out a single fucking tweet that I've made that you disagree with, because you know that you can't disagree with anything on substance. That's why you make a dumb little video with all your cute little fucking straw mans.
Every time you use an ableist slur, I disagree with that.
That's something. Do I do that on my Twitter?
You use fucking like you use spurging. You use
Okay,
fucking
I
all
have said
that
spurging before. I try not to, but for the most part, I don't really think I use ableist slurs on Twitter. It's actually something I've tried really hard to stop over the past years. Do I use like retarded or autistic on my Twitter? I really don't think I do. I might have like once or twice in the past like year or two, but I don't think I do that very often. I think that's like a really bad point. Like even Alabrel uses spurg. That's not a defense for it, but
okay, that's the reason I brought that up. Is that's an easy one to remember. I can't fucking keep track of your fucking Twitter all day, dude.
okay, so we have nothing on Twitter that I've said that we actually agree with, other than an appeal to maybe I've said ableist slurs before, which we don't know.
Let me go to your Twitter then. Here we go.
How's everyone doing today?
Well, my problem is just that, like, this is a problem that I have, and I ran into the same things with the alt-right, right? Is that people come on and it's like, oh, everything you say is so wrong and ill-informed. It's like, okay, well, if you actually have that opinion of me, I'm curious, what position do I have that, like, you feel like I don't have information or I don't have a good opinion on? And then nothing. It's always nothing. Basically, there's this character, I'm this big boogeyman in your head that just comes out as this, like, evil, hateful monster that has nothing of substance to say, but then when you try to engage with everything, I turn into, like, this shadow warrior that becomes untouchable somehow. Like, you can't say, like, a single...
Do you really think that everything you've said here is that good?
I haven't said anything of substance here yet, no. We haven't even started talking yet.
Okay, so what substance do you want to talk about?
I wanted to talk about your video. I thought that's what we were here for. But now you're telling me half the video is comedy, so it's not worth addressing. So I'm not sure what we're talking about.
Well, true.
Okay, you want to talk
That's
about what
true.
specifically are parodying you in the comment video? Yes, you do use big words. You came in and you literally said that. Like, you came in and literally made an example of that thing. That's parodying you. What else do you want to talk about?
Not. I came in here and I said...
No,
that
if it was
you think I'm
serious,
using
then
big
yeah,
words,
it's worth
think I'm
addressing.
using
If
a
it's just
sneaky,
comedy, you just joking about
doing
it.
the
It's
thing
like,
that
what's the
I
point?
literally fucking, like, just saying the words big words to make fun of people who use big words to sound smart is the same thing.
It's
as
very
you coming
confusing
in
because
here
he's
and
making
saying,
it like
"Ground
it's
rule, guys,
serious.
if I use big words and it confuses you. No. Are you nuts? Are you absolutely actually nuts?
It's... Wait, hold on. Wait, the Surfs. Do you think he's correct? Or...
Sorry, I was catching up with chat, but...
Okay, hold on. I want to present this argument. Hold on. I need to present this argument to you, and then you can... I'm going to trust on you to moderate this in a fair and unbiased manner, okay?
Oh, I'm the moderator now. Nice.
Sure.
This is fun.
Or... Oh, wait. Or Lucid, are you the moderator? Fuck.
I'll
Or
moderate
Eva
this.
is in chat. She can come in here and moderate this, okay? I trust Eva if she wants to, okay?
It's they.
They. Fuck. They. Fuck. Okay. They can come here and moderate if they wanted to, okay? Okay,
Yeah,
so
But anyways, yeah, I'll
the
moderate.
okay,
Just
sure.
present
So
it.
here's my general thing, okay? So one of
Yeah.
the caricatures that Peter made of me in his video is that he said, oh, big words, like I use big words to make arguments confusing or whatever. So when I came in here, now, this is one of my big triggers, because people will do this after performing not as well in a conversation with me, where afterwards they'll take to Twitter and they go, oh, Destiny uses debate tactics and big words and talks over people, blah, blah, blah. So usually when I come into a conversation, and you can go back and look at every one of my debates, I usually go, hey, if I ever use an analogy that doesn't make sense, if I'm talking too much, if you feel like I'm just yelling at you, if I'm saying big words, then go ahead and stop me. Tell me if something doesn't make sense, and we will clarify. And so that's what I'm saying. Peter's saying
He does that all the time in every single one of his videos, actually. He does do that.
Maybe for me, myself, not knowing that it sounds a little condescending. It sounds like
Oh, sure. If you don't know the reference, I agree. But so the reference is, and Peter should know this, in Peter's video when he's making fun of me as a character, one of the things he goes is, "Oh, and here's big words, haha, so that I can win the argument. I just use big words." So that's what I mean.
I just said the words "big words," and then I did a bit.
Sure, but that's the implication is that I'm just using big words to win an argument without actually knowing what they mean or having like.
It's not necessarily to win an argument because you weren't arguing yet. You hadn't brought me onto the screen. Like
okay, it's to jerk myself off. It's to circle jerk.
Exactly.
It's to look good. Yeah, sure. So what I did when I came in here was I set the ground rule. If I say something that sounds like a big word or something that you have a problem with, stop me immediately, and then we can have a conversation about it. Rather than later taking to Twitter and going, "Oh, he just used big words to try to confuse me." I think that's a fair way to start a conversation so that I don't get accused of this later again, like I do by so many people.
Yeah,
that
you literally came in and you said, ground rules, guys. If I use big words that are too big to understand, and you did say something akin to that. You did absolutely say, if I use words that are too big to understand, which is a means to dress the people that you're addressing down.
I'm being a bit condescending, sure, but it's in response to your video saying I just use big words to sound smart.
Well,
I think my condescension is warranted.
I mean, you literally.
Wait, when you come in, what are you fucking Back to the Future now? Did you know that I would come into this conversation doing it, and that's why you loaded the point in your fucking video? What do you mean?
Well,
you can't use my behavior.
You
can't. Yes, I do it all the time. I go into a conversation starting, and I say, if I use an analogy that confuses you, if I use a term that confuses you, and I even do the same to I even grant the same to my opponents. This is why I start out debates saying when somebody says like, oh, like I'm an anarcho-intersectionalist communist. Okay, so well, what do you mean by anarcho?
I can't make fun of that.
I'm saying that when you make fun of that, the implication is that I try to win arguments just by using big words in an illegitimate fashion. So if you're going to make that claim about me, of course I'm going to push back against it.
That's not the implication. The implication is that you're using big words because it makes you look better.
I'll probably just use. What I'll probably do is do that. Do like a gradient.
Who use big words.
This is like so reductionist and a distinction without like.
Without do like,
it's because you're arguing with comedy, dude.
Okay, so it's
like, yes, comedy has points. It makes points. But at the same time, it exaggerates those points to make people laugh.
So what is the original point? That I just use big words to sound smart? And then we...
The original point is that many people use words to sound like they're smart, and you are one of those people.
Okay, well then let me go ahead and clarify my original ground rule. If you think I'm using a big word to sound smart, then stop me right after the big word and I'll use a smaller word so that I'm not trying to sound smart. Is that fair?
Okay, so what you're just saying right there is
gradient. That's what
I need to use smaller words to appeal to you, who are apparently stupid.
Apparently, if you accuse me of using big words, then yeah, I'm a 3-year music school dropout. If I'm using words that are too big for you, then fuck, man. I don't know what to... Aren't you like a book author or some shit? Shouldn't you...
Using words to represent yourself a certain way. It has nothing to do with what I can and can't understand.
Okay. Well, if I use big words in a bad way, tell me and I'll stop using big. I'll find other big words. There. Is that okay?
All right,
is that not condescending?
So if you guys want me to moderate it, maybe I will moderate it, right? Because I think you guys are getting caught up in right now.
You think?
Well, I mean, it is. It's like a serious debater arguing with somebody making jokes,
right?
Like, yes, the jokes do make a point. Like, I intend to make a point, but like at the same time, like, there's only so many ways that you can actually bring it down to a real point. Like,
sure.
You can't.
Okay, wait. Can Lucid? I thought he was the moderator.
I can. Well, so here's the thing. You guys are arguing about semantics right now, right?
Yep, we are.
We can definitely understand that. Like, sure. Like, the comment shouldn't have been made. It felt condescending. Great. Where do we get to from here?
Okay, sure.
What is your
what's
your base understanding, Destiny, of the video?
Well, I wanted to just walk through. I mean, like, most of the arguments are presented in a highly reductionist manner that totally miss the point of everything I'm saying. And then some of the factual arguments that are brought up later are either horrendously mischaracterized or done in a poor fashion, or they're just factually incorrect.
Sure.
Okay, but I want Lucid Fox to moderate because I want Serfs to help Peter because he's going to need it in this conversation. That's why I don't want Serfs moderating. I want him to be available to help Peter.
Okay, so you understand what you're doing then.
What?
You have to. Like, you're being made fun of for doing that. That's the whole video.
The video is making fun of me for...
That is the amount of you that's in the video.
Okay, that's great. Then you're going to make me look like a joke in this conversation. That's great. Let's start, okay? Okay, are you ready?
You are one.
Okay, that's great. All right, are you ready to go down the? Are we ready to go down the list of all the straw man claims you make against me, and then we can talk about them all if you want. Okay.
Sure.
Okay, so the first point that you bring up.
How do I make?
I'll try to do my impression of your.
I want it to be softer.
Okay? Democracy would be great if only people were smart, right? I think that's about accurate. So.
I mean, that's fair. That's a good one.
Sure. Okay. So my general point on this, you actually completely agree with, and you echo throughout the rest of the video, that people generally don't have the wherewithal to make good decisions democratically because they could be misled by corporations, by government figures, by
No,
other
not
people.
because they can be misled, but because the environment is entirely controlled by corporations. It
Okay.
is a different point.
Cool. I agree 100%. And that's my whole reason why I think that leaving everything to democratic votes are not necessarily a good idea sometimes. So that's great. We agree on this.
Okay, so
yeah.
Well, here's my question. Like, here's the thing. I'm not saying, like, right now at this very specific moment, if everybody simply had a vote and everything else was exactly the same, I'm not arguing for that.
I think it's specific.
Okay, cool. Yeah, we'll get into those arguments later, but that's great as long as you understand that because you make a lot of weird appeals to like this biological realism or race realism almost.
So, again,
yeah?
that's entirely not you.
Okay. It was just a guy wearing a hoodie with my stream background getting Twitch
yes,
bits.
You are one of the characters. You are a like, there's a character that looks like you because this is framed through you. However, again, when you're making a character that you intend to address more than a single person's arguments with, maybe, in your opinion, there shouldn't be a character that looks just like one person. But I also don't think that.
Okay, so then the parts where I say, the problem is that people are just so stupid. If you try to tell people facts, they spit in your face. I'm reading all the things that I don't think apply to me then. Some people are just too stupid or too lazy.
Well, you do think people are stupid.
I do, but for the same reasons why you think people are stupid, that they're misled by other people. They don't have access to good education. They don't have access to all the facts or knowledge that corporations or government or whatever can mislead them about things.
Sure.
Which we agree on. Okay. Do you think that I believe that people choose to be lazy?
No, that is a Ben Shapiro point.
Okay. And do you think that I think that stupid people are having babies with other stupid people to make...
No, that is actually a number of people from Twitter point that I can't even begin to start with.
Okay,
I've
cool.
seen that argument so many times.
Okay, so the big words one was comedy, I guess?
That's
so,
you.
Okay, comedy / me. Do you think that I believe that people pick their bad jobs, or is that a Shapiro talking point?
That is definitely, like, that's a verbatim. The you problem thing is actually directly from...
literally from a video from him a couple weeks ago. Sure.
Why didn't you use Ben Shapiro as a representative for this video instead of me?
Because Ben Shapiro won't answer.
Okay. So then half of these with me in the back. Okay, this is a real intellectually honest video so far. All right, that's great. So 90% of the shit brought up in the beginning was either comedy or not related to me whatsoever. All right.
Well, okay. Wait a second though.
Okay.
You take a dig at Peter there by saying that it's not intellectually honest so far, but again, you're missing the point of, and again, I could be completely off base. Correct me if I am. But if we're talking about something, a video made in effect a parody that is not made in a direct dig that says, hey, by the way, this is why I think Destiny is wrong. Instead says, hey, I'm going to cover the talking points of certain figures out within the world that I disagree with. You can then understand that perhaps he's not trying to represent you specifically.
What do you think the understanding of the audience is when they come away from a video like that? Do you think that they see it as what?
But again, like, you're not pushing on the audience. So the given audience of the video is not looking at this and saying, this is Destiny specifically. In fact, most people are not going to know that it's you. Most people are not going to think that it's Ben Shapiro.
You really don't think that. You really don't think that people look at that video.
Well, you just said earlier that our audiences don't even coincide that much. So
I said that we don't occupy the same area, but clearly, like, this video is, like, very clearly, like, pointed towards me.
Well, I mean, there's elements that, like, I mean, like I said, like, you're the one who's going to answer.
Sure.
But you'd have to admit, Peter, that if like you're in his room as him, like he's taking
absolutely.
part of it. Yeah.
Like, it's not. I don't know if people know this, but it's literally my streaming background.
Yes, I actually green screen myself into your room.
Well, you know what? Let's check. I could be totally wrong. Let's go look at the top comments on the
honestly,
video.
I really like
hey,
that.
Destiny is a guest in Peter
It
Cook's
looks
video.
nice.
Cool.
Oh,
226
that's
thumbs
a
up.
really good title.
Glad to finally see gamer representation of my content. Maybe that's not an appeal to me. So, I mean, you don't think that maybe people... I hope Destiny doesn't copyright claim this debate you just had.
I'm not saying 100% like I really even care whether people think it's you or not.
You don't care? So do you think you have a responsibility to the public that separates your intent from the possible harm that you could inflict on others? I'm curious, because you're making the gamer argument for why I should be able to say, like,
So
fag
you
is an
think-
insult.
Okay, so you think that I can inflict harm on you?
Of course, yeah.
Really?
Yeah, we do it publicly all the time. Yeah, of course.
Significantly larger following than I
Doesn't
do.
matter who has a larger following. Like,
Well, I'm actually.
Wait. Actually, wait. Hold on.
interested in
I'm really interested in this.
very
You think that because somebody has a smaller following than someone else, they can't inflict
No,
any
that's
harm on
not
that person?
specifically what I think,
Okay, because
but,
that was
like,
the
I'm
argument you just used.
It's not the full argument. I want to.
Wait,
hear
so do you think it's
exactly
part
what
of an
you
argument?
think it would be part of one, yes. But I want to hear what like you think this video can do to you.
It's just more ammunition for people to misrepresent my views to other people, to make me look like I have views that are dumber than they actually are. That's the whole goal of this type of rhetoric, right?
I want to say yes and no, because I don't really want to say to you, like, the idea is to ruin you. The idea is to get you to maybe go, oh, is this something that might actually be orbiting around me? Is there any element of this that reflects real life in any way, whether or not it's exaggerated?
And you don't think
it's
me,
not
who has
just
a
you,
larger
it's
commie...
also-
I have a huge commie fan base that watches me because of how relentlessly I've attacked people on the right. You don't think that I'm aware of some of the negative stereotypes that might exist on the right? You don't think that I'm aware of a lot of the crazy shit that happens in these quasi-fascist communities, like the Donald and all this shit? Like, somebody who has, like, a larger lefty fan base than most other lefties on the internet? God, unfortunately, like...
Okay.
You're saying this like you're doing me. You're acting like you're doing me a favor. Like, Destiny, look, some of the things you're saying, you know, maybe people on the right might agree with them. Like, yeah, no fucking shit. I'm very careful with what I say.
Sure. There's another element of it, though. It's not just, again, to talk about how it is not just about you. There's also an element of, hey, there's part of this person in all of us.
There's part of this person who happens to be a caricature of Destiny, who is the dumbest fucking
Correct,
neoclassical shill in the world. Okay, this is running away from...
neoclassical shill, though.
But that's the caricature of me. That's what you're basically making me out to be.
I mean, that has so many, like, specific economic stuff, and, like, there's not... I wouldn't say that there's arguments presented against you that are really specifically, like, neoclassical, though.
Okay. You're okay, let me say it in another way. You are presenting an incredibly simplistic analysis of economic arguments and attributing those to me. Some people would argue, well, this is a neoclassical way of viewing things.
Right.
So, for instance, saying people choose to be lazy or people choose to do their jobs.
Well, again, that is very specifically a Ben Shapiro point, and I understand that you don't like having that associated with you, but I mean, again, and I'm sorry to keep making this same point, it's not just you. I mean, yes, it is your aesthetic. It is referencing a lot of elements of you, but it is not just you.
But the only reason people associate this with me is because of bad faith actors like you. No one that has ever listened to any of my videos will ever come away thinking that Destiny tells people that they can choose whatever. I argue against this type of shit all the time. I'm literally a hardline determinist, okay? I don't even like compatibilism as like a philosophical concept. So to sit here and pretend that I would ever make any of these arguments to be associated with them, am I associated with them? Yeah, I am. But why? It's not because of what I say. It's because of how people like you attack me or characterize me or mischaracterize me.
Yep.
Well, you know, I kind of, all right. I guess, sure, fine. Yeah, I'll take that, fine. I don't really have, like, here's the, I don't really have an argument against you if, like, your argument is just, you're a bad faith actor. I don't think that I am. I don't think that I made this specifically to ruin you. I don't think that I made this specifically.
Okay, real quick. I don't
to
think
make like specific arguments
no
about
one,
you.
Okay,
I
no
did
one made
intend to use your image on account. This is in fact a parody of elements of you that people will recognize.
Okay, but what you're doing is attributing a bunch of malicious views to me that I don't have, that are now going to continue to be associated with me. How many times, when I say, like, I don't think single-payer healthcare is a great idea, do people rally on Twitter, Destiny wants the free market to decide, Destiny hates fucking workers, Destiny thinks all people are stupid. Like,
okay, so what do you think is the alternative, though?
What? To what? Single-payer?
Yeah, if single-payer healthcare is not a good idea, what's a good idea?
A multi-payer system, the public option.
A multi-payer system. And what do you do when you choose between different payers? What is that?
What do you mean?
It's a market.
Okay. What are you
So,
addressing?
like, you just said, like, you don't think that, like, health should be left up to the market, but then you just said, What do you mean by multi-payer then?
What do I mean? How about like the other dozen or so European countries that have a multi-payer system? So you have a public option that has a bare minimum services that are covered.
Sure.
So for instance, usually this means not, it's like all normal medical procedures
So you
besides
mean like France?
Sure, like dental or vision, like wouldn't be covered, right? And then you can either get insurance that gets you access to different hospitals or to elective surgeries or things related to dental or vision on top. But
you
there,
buy insurance.
for some procedures that aren't covered by the public option stuff, or they can be, I guess, if you want to like have
Okay.
that level of shit. But multi-payer doesn't
and
imply.
How do you get the insurance?
It's provided by the government. For the public option, it's usually like a government-funded thing. Like, so there would be massive discounts for people that can't afford it, or be given for free for people that can't afford it.
What about the other insurance for the stuff that it doesn't cover?
That's what do you mean? Like, what about it? What about it? Like,
Do you get that stuff out of a market?
Yeah, I guess in this case you would.
I'm sorry, but like, you can't say like you don't believe in the market if like an element of the market exists in the healthcare system you're advocating.
I never said I don't believe in the market. I absolutely believe in markets. That's why I'm a capitalist. But I believe that market failures prevent us from accurately negotiating for healthcare shit. Okay? Which is why I think that the healthcare system that the U.S. has now and before is an unmitigated fucking disaster. You need a government-provided public option that can set drug prices. Every other OECD country uses this. We have to get on board with it. But all the other OECD countries that use it don't all have single-payer. A lot of them have multi-payer too. And both of those systems, both of those forms of universal health coverage are infinitely better than what the United States has now.
Sure.
Yeah,
Just like
no,
the
I agree.
NHS.
I agree that France is an infinitely better system than ours.
Canada's better too.
Also true.
Yes. I have nothing to say to that.
Okay, cool. Then
Like,
we
in
don't
terms
necessarily
of
disagree. But when you put out...
Relatively speaking, yes.
Sure, but when you put out videos like this, it makes it sound like I'm literally going to say, like, well, the free market gives the best solution to healthcare ever, so we should have no public option and no public funding at all. People should be allowed to do... What were the other people you had in your video? Was it Nigel Farage? It was like, oh, I would rather choose to do it with my own money rather than give it to the NHS, blah, 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 right? Like,
fuck Nigel
no, you didn't use a
Farage.
caricature of me there, but, like, you're more or less associating my views with total dipshit, like hardcore free market dumb fucks like that, like when you do that, right? Which is not really anywhere near what my viewpoints
He used
are.
the NHS
like, my
as a
economic
selling point for
viewpoints
the
are like
Brexit
considered left in virtually every part
in
of the world.
2016, and then he fucking straight up lied.
Left in every part of the world.
Yes,
I
it is.
admitted that he lied.
Oh my
It's
God.
crazy. Can you imagine that?
Yes, it is.
No.
Newsflash. Even in places like
And a lot of
Sweden,
people
commies
regret
aren't
it
taken
now, because
seriously.
they thought the
The
NHS
leading
would be
party,
safe
even in
because of
Sweden,
that.
is the
It's
Social
just,
Democrats. Social Democrats are
And now we have to pay the
characterized by their
consequences
acceptance
because of
of
someone-
capitalism. Whether
someone
you like that
actually
or not,
lost.
that's true. There are not all these European countries where there is a sizable portion of people that are unironically left in the way that internet progressives define it as being socialist or communist. That is not true.
Sure.
So
Okay.
I would be considered a social democrat in most European countries, which does put me on the left. Not like a lefty, like I'm full on fucking socialist or communist, but yes, on the left.
Sure. All right. Like I don't know what to even say to that, to be honest with you. Like
That's fine. Your initial characterization of economic viewpoints across Europe is horrendously incorrect and misinformed, and I corrected you on it. That's all I wanted to do. We can talk
I guess
about.
what
yeah.
you're saying though is like the establishment considers a different thing left than what maybe people who are actually advocating for a leftist thing.
Yeah,
are.
sure. I don't care what a fringe minority of people on the internet call left. I
Oh,
don't care what
sure.
the people
Yeah,
on BreadTube, what all the white college kids on BreadTube call left or whatever. I'm just saying that like the idea that people present me as like I would be right wing in all these European countries is completely not true. Maybe when the litmus test is whether or not you would literally eat fucking landlords, that's what considers you left. Maybe in like some small circles of very white, very male, very college educated, very affluent parts of the internet. Maybe those people would consider me right wing, sure. But in the broader electorate in America and in the rest of Europe, absolutely not. I would be considered left. Okay, do you want to go over
Sure.
the first big part of the first huge
No,
fuck up?
to be honest with you, I really don't.
Okay.
Well, like at this, I'm gonna go ahead and say like everybody watching is gonna be like coughing, fucked up. Like he backed off of this. He doesn't want to do this. But this is useless. Like just you have to know that. I have to know that. This is useless.
Do you ever get worried or do you feel bad that maybe you're so married to a political ideology that like a public responsibility
I'm
do you have?
not.
But you are. You won't defend any part of the video that you felt comfortable enough publishing using me. Why wouldn't you use somebody that you said you wanted me to come here? But now you're telling me you won't defend any of the points you've made. What?
Oh dear.
I didn't say I wanted you to come here.
You absolutely.
I
I'm
said
sorry.
I wanted you to watch it.
Lucid Fox or the Serbs? Did it not sound like he heavily implied that he wanted me to come here? That's why he.
He said that he
this
knew
was my
you would
idea.
watch it.
I was the one who messaged you. Like, hey, do you want to have a talk?
And he's in here. Did you tell him I was coming? I mean,
Yeah, of course I did.
Okay.
Yeah, I agreed
He
to
didn't
it.
say,
But
"Hey,
like,
bring Destiny over."
I'm
This is
definitely regretting it.
Yeah, he knew that you would pay attention to the video, I assume, but I don't think the main idea was to, hey, let me draw Destiny in debate, by the way.
Okay.
No, I wanted to have this conversation. I just thought it would make for great internet. This is good internet. I do have a question for you though, Destiny, just because I have you on the phone.
Yeah, hit me up, buddy.
Yeah, of all these tweets, because I know people always come at you for your tweets being spicy takes.
They are. They're pretty provocative. I won't deny that, of course.
So you are debating a little bit, right? Like a little bit of this is to get some reactions out of people.
A little bit, yeah, but I believe everything I tweet. I'm not grifting, not doing it for money. Every
So
one of my
you
fans says that.
believe it, but you might make it a little bit more.
Sure, a little bit more provocative than it could be, like in a reasonable form where I'm
It's
having
like,
a
it's
discussion.
film noir.
Sure.
You might be exaggerating your points a little bit for effect.
Slightly, sure, yeah.
Oh.
That's not what you're doing in your video. You're totally mischaracterizing and misrepresenting.
Here's the thing, you like.
Wait.
Sorry.
Like, so if I say something like, I'm trying to think of something I could say. Like, if I say something like, women might naturally. So here's an unironic belief I have. I think that, like, in a perfect world, I don't think that it would be 50-50 representation across every job. Men and women would probably gravitate a little bit towards different types of jobs. Now, I don't think the division would be like 90% male doctors and 10% female doctors. That's probably heavily socially driven. But there would be some distinction. If you were to make a video and you were to say, well, I'm Destiny and I'm so smart, I know that all women belong in the house and they shouldn't even go to work. Do you think that that's just an exaggeration of my point, or do you think that it like totally mischaracterizes what I believe? Because you're doing that and you're saying, well, I'm just exaggerating it. What?
I am not saying that is a ridiculous. Like, you set up. I don't even know what to like. You literally just said like. Okay, so explain the context of why women are in different positions here.
What do you mean?
You know, never mind. I gotta go.
Oh no, we can walk through all of it if you want. I'll walk through everything.
He's confused by his own. I don't know. He
Okay.
seems confused.
Because all of your other claims in this video were equally ridiculous, but you try to say that they weren't
That's
about me. I
fine.
guess.
Like, let them be ridiculous then, dude. Go through your videos or your streams and just call them ridiculous.
Okay. Sounds good to me. Does anyone in here want to talk about anything else?
You're
Or?
just hurting the cause, sure.
I mean, I think you are. Like, I think like this is one of the reasons why I got big on the internet is because you guys on the left absolutely suck shit at confrontation. You're not willing to defend any of your ideas. You can't substantiate anything outside of like a huge video circle jerk, and all you do is you mischaracterize the fuck out of everybody that disagrees with you. This is why I got popular. Is because I filled a void that none of you were able to do.
Okay, so what you've done here,
true.
shut the fuck up. What you've done here is you've made me tired. Okay, that's what you fucking did.
Yeah.
That's all you did. You're already emotionally done. I've had a full day. I'm intending to put my kids to bed. You've made me fucking tired. That's what I'm fucking right now.
That's cool. I'm crying for you right now. Like, it's so sad. Like, how hard your life must be, like, making YouTube videos. Like, yeah, that's so hard.
Right now. Laughing, putting the head back, laughing.
You don't think I have to deal with any kind of, like, blowback from the internet stuff that I do?
Oh no, I definitely don't. I definitely don't think that you've ever dealt with anything on the internet ever. That's my position.
Okay, because you're trying to play a pity card while you're contributing to like active harm.
I'm not trying to play a pity
You
card.
are. You're sitting here crying about how tired you are after you just made a
Oh my
borderline hit piece
God.
video on me. Like, come on, dude. You think I'm supposed to fucking feel
How
bad?
can you
It
straight up
is.
deny what you
You're
just
literally
said
using
about
an image of me to
30
construct like fucking race realist
I'm outta
arguments,
here.
dog.
See
It is
I'm outta here.
absolutely
See
all
ya.
right. Good luck. See you later. I hope he likes the ad revenue from the video. What a fucking piece of shit. I can't believe this. What's up? How you guys doing here tonight? Lucid Fox and the Surfs.
Wow.
Destiny, you made him hit his children before bed.
Crazy.
Yeah. Hey, hey, Destiny's chat. This is the Surfs TV. I gotta do the mic from PA thing. Are you guys ever gonna talk again, Dean? I know you guys
Someday
are
we
having
will,
some
I'm sure.
conversations.
Oh,
Yeah.
you avoided me.
Oh,
at
okay,
Twitch
yeah, I
time,
can
but
talk about this to you now, Destiny. Are you gonna talk to Ben Burgess? Because he's upset.
We talked once before. Maybe we'll talk again. I don't know what the fuck we would even have to talk about. I saw him talking in some Twitch clip where he was saying some real fucking stupid shit, but I imagine we'll probably talk about it. He'll back off of it completely, and then he'll go back to making fun of me in Twitch clips like every single lefty seems to do. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Anything else? I mean, yeah. It's
well,
it's
okay,
very frustrating to me because like I believe like in everything I say, and I spend like a great deal of time in all of the arguments that I make. I have huge gaps in my knowledge. My historical knowledge is fucking abysmal. Okay, like there are huge gaps that I have in my knowledge, but when I have like a gap in my knowledge, I try to shore it up. Like I'm a 3-year music school dropout, okay, and then I've been playing video games professionally for 10 years. I don't do this like I don't have like an authorship behind me. I don't write books. I don't like fucking have a PhD. I don't even go to undergrad for political science. Okay, so there's definitely gaps in my knowledge, but I do put a lot of work in what I do, and it's very strange to me to see the same anti-intellectual attacks from the left now that I saw from the right. Like what he just said to me earlier, like you've literally got a word pad out. Like what, am I supposed to be insulted by that? Like yeah, I put a lot of work into what I do. Like is that supposed to make me feel bad? Because that's the same thing that the people on the alt-right said to me. Like, oh, well, he's such a loser. He spends time, like, researching his points. While unironically, at the same time, going onto subreddits later, going, like, Destiny doesn't read enough. Like, okay, well, which is it? Like, do I be a fucking nerd that prepares his arguments? Or, you know, am I just supposed to, like, agree with you on everything? Like, it's all of this is, like, very fucking frustrating to me. But...
So, yeah, you seem to have a pattern of being a set of people talking one way, or at least expressing themselves.
Wait, you're.
You think it's too
That's cutting out.
Is that it?
It's a little bit. Like like if you disagree with something I say, and like a lot of people feel that it's condescending. I was condescending at the beginning of this because I hate that big words argument. But like I do say at the beginning of every debate, like, hey, if I say something that you disagree with, or if I say something that sounds like bullshit, like call me out on it immediately. Like, and this happens in all of my debates. Like my fans will go through and look, oh, who talked more? It's always the other person. It's like 60% of the time they talk, and then they come out and accuse me of gish galloping, or like they interrupt me like 50 times and I interrupt them like twice. And they
Oh
say,
yeah,
Destiny
that
cuts
is
people
true.
off all the
That
fucking
is
time.
true.
I
A
did
lot
hear
of his
more than that.
debates,
Like, it's just
he
frustrating.
lets
Like, nobody
other
will
people
deal with the
talk,
content of the
and
arguments.
everyone
They just make
keeps
these vague
interrupting
appeals to, like,
him.
my Jewish debate tactics they say on the right, or on the left.
This
they call
happened
me
a lot of
Gusano,
the time.
a
I mean,
Cuban
his
worm that's
his
trying to
videos is
Cuban
literally
aristocracy, I
crazy.
guess. And then I'm using all these like debate tactics and shit.
Can I offer you some honest criticism?
Yeah, fucking go for it, dude.
Cool. Like this is not for this is just literally to tell you like to an analytic.
Yeah, go. You're not gonna hurt my feelings. Don't worry, dude. Go for it.
Right. I think one of the things that you work in a lot of the time is absolutes. You try to when you say something to someone, then it gets refuted, or maybe like at that point within the debate, maybe you don't see eye to eye. Maybe like we're done with that point in the debate, right? Like we're done with that talking point. You'll then try to double down on absolutes and say, see, this is the problem. No one ever wants to like engage intellectually on that point. Like, so you'll add an addendum to this is why you lost, by the way. So I think you could understand that a lot of people on the left might see that as kind of static. Like, okay, well, I was just trying to get in a discussion with someone, but at the same time, I wasn't looking to get attacked. And that can turn into a provocative measure that then draws people into saying, like, all right, fuck this shit.
Well, so like
Right?
the problem is like when I have arguments with people. So for instance, like Mike from PA did this. Is when I have an argument with somebody, oftentimes what will happen is, let's say that I have an argument about rent control. Okay, I'll say like, hey, I think rent control is bad, and I'll say, oh well, rent control is good. They'll bring up one point. Well, rent control helps poor people, and I'll say, well, no, it doesn't. And I'll go, okay, well, maybe not, but it prevents rents from increasing on people who live there. Well, no, it doesn't. Okay, well, maybe it'll help. Well, they'll bounce from point to point to point to point, and if I don't actually establish, like, okay, well, this was wrong. This is not true. This is and
that's totally fair. But
Okay.
like my critique, like I'm not asking you to defend your point. I'm not asking you to apologize for it at all. I'm just giving you my honest criticism of. I think that's something that you do in discussion a lot that will draw ire from people. Like,
Well, but
no one likes
that's
to-
fine.
No
If
one
you-
likes to hear that thing, like say, this is what always happens, because that ends up more often than not being a provocation into another conversation that's going to draw down the current debate.
Well, so am I just supposed to let somebody walk away with like bad points? Like
that's why you'll end up seeing bad faith measures then, because people will be like, well, wait a second, you just fucking attacked me on that. That's bullshit.
Well, of
You
course,
know,
we're
like,
having a
it's
disagreement. I'm
basically-
attacking your points. I'm going to establish that they were right or wrong by the end of our discussion.
I get that, but it's basically saying like, hey, you were always wrong, right? Like,
Yeah, of
there was no
course.
time in which you were ever going to be right. Right.
Well, what do you
just
wait?
saying
Well, what do
this
you?
is-
I mean,
it's a
like
thing to
depending on the
consider.
topic that we're talking about, yeah, that's my goal. That I believe in what I believe in, and I'm going to try to make the case for that. And if the other person can't, then I want to establish that they haven't done that. That's my whole goal in a conversation.
And I get that. I'm just literally giving you the criticism of it's okay to make sure that someone's wrong, but more often than not, you'll also go into the field of, well, let's make sure they're also wrong. You know,
Yeah,
like just a thing to think about, man. Like I'm not.
Well,
I
I'll
ain't
say
mad
this
at
based on
you.
the conversations that we've had, Destiny. I know afterwards you said I was hiding, right? So
Hold on, your mic cut off. That I said you were hiding what?
Are you still there? Can you hear me?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah. No, I hear you fine. I said last time we had a talk, said I was hiding hiding my power level, right, in our
Oh,
conversation.
jeez,
Oh yeah, it's possible. A lot of people do that. I don't remember specifically what though, but yeah.
Well, I mean, don't alt-writers do that? Isn't there?
Yeah, they do it a lot. Yeah, crypto fascists do it a ton. Yeah.
Well, okay, so yeah, I wasn't hiding my power level. I was just trying to have a that I know if I was to get to a certain point in that conversation, you'd obviously shut it down, right? Like I was trying to find common ground. I think that would have been a more fruitful discussion between the two of us by trying to find things that we can either agree or disagree on. And then, surprise, surprise, I found out that we agreed on a lot of things.
Yeah, but there's a difference between like finding common ground versus like skirting issues, like saying like, oh, well,
imagine me using 4 gig memory. Like Jesus Christ.
Right, but I don't.
4 gig of memory.
Oh yeah, maybe I don't remember specifically.
Be able to do
I don't remember specifically like what I disagree with you. It's usually not a disagreement. Usually with lefties, what I notice is that like a lot of people present themselves as liberals. They say like, oh, I'm a sock dem, and then they're literally like defending the USSR like on Twitter the next day, or sometimes even North Korea, or China's regime.
Those are tankies. I'm not a tanky.
I mean, let's be honest. If anyone defends North Korea,
harbor these people in the community without like explicitly calling them out, and it just feels really weird. Or like Mike from PA is a really good example, or even Hassan sometimes. Like Mike from PA, his name is Central Committee. He's got like the fucking hammer and sickle shit and the red shit and the Soviet text, everything all over. And it's like, oh, okay, dude, but like you're not really like it's just a meme, you know.
As someone that's an entertainer, you have to understand what's performative, right?
That's fine, but I hope you guys say the same thing when like Richard Spencer or other people come out and they're like, oh, dude, like it's just a Pepe the Frog, it's just a Kakistan flag, like it's performative. Like you understand that these arguments, you would never let these float for the crypto fascists on the right. Why would you use them for people on the left?
Interesting.
Oh no, well, okay, wait.
Your mic is cutting off. Wait, what?
Okay, hold on. All right. Oh, maybe it's because I'm bringing in Eva and.
Okay, no. Your mic keeps like it's like your sensitivity is set too high or something, or.
Yeah, your noise gate might be cutting you out. Like.
Yeah. Oh, let me double check my noise gates.
Yeah.
I can't spice things up the real way. All right, Destiny, what's up, buddy?
What's up?
I have to go order dinner, by the way. So you all are amazing, but I will miss you all. It was.
Hey, is go there?
I'm gonna hit you with the real critique, Destiny.
Yeah, hit me up.
You've got to learn to play League better.
Okay. If I could ban you from the server, I would. It's really strange to me to see like so many people on the left. Like this is so ridiculous to me, and I hate myself for it. A lot of people, I'm seeing this thing like this guy really doesn't understand how comedy works in the world, does he? These are all arguments that I've argued against when people on the right try to do it. Why do people on the left think they can get away with it? It's crazy to me. Like when we argue about like whether or not you should use homophobic or transphobic slurs, I'll never let like a context matters argument slide there, because it doesn't. We look at the end effect, not the intent of this type of language. But when it comes to like literal tanky iconography and shit, well, now we have to look at the context. You know, eat all landlords, that's just a meme. You know, let the blood run in the streets of the capital owners, like that's just a joke. Or like literally saying, you know, like fuck the Hong Kongers, they're imperialist scum. You're like, well, fuck, like, well, where does it stop? Because all of the arguments I used against the right, what, I'm not allowed to use these against people that are like harboring tankies now?
I mean, I feel like a lot of that, though, is you are grouping, like, all of the leftists in together, when a lot of us don't actually have that in our community. And, like, specifically, it's like, I have a no tankies rule, because tankies irritate me worse than anybody. It's better to debate a fucking Nazi, because at least a Nazi will try to defend their shit ideas. A tanky will just go, LOL, you're just too stupid, you don't get it.
Sure, but, like, somebody, like, so... I haven't watched his content recently, right? But somebody like Sargon of Akkad was absolutely not an alt-right, and was like barely conservative in a lot of ways. He was like I would call him
he's just a classical liberal, and that's how he defines himself.
Sure, but that's like super vague. Like technically, like in the like most people, like classical liberal can mean everything from like I'm a liberal to like I'm a libertarian, right?
Right.
Like,
so when he references that, he's referencing, I think, you know, if you look back to the origin. Would be like John Locke.
Wait, hold on. Your mic keeps cutting out. It's triggering me. Is your noise gate like fucked up or?
Why would it be on Discord? Okay, all I was saying is that I think he's.
I'm getting mad. Oh shit! I'm getting so triggered. Hold on, let me calm down. What you just said was all I can say is that he thinks he's. And then your mic cuts off. Like it's doing it every time. But that's okay.
I think he was saying a classical liberal like John Locke. Going back and looking at that.
Oh yeah, sure. So Sargon, but my point is that Sargon is never like given like explicitly like not like Nazi talking points or anything like that, but he harbored a lot of these people in his community, and I'm very critical of him for it. Like, listen, like if you espouse a certain type of rhetoric, you're going to get a certain type of fan, and you must be aware of this. You have to know that you're empowering certain groups of people, and if you're not going to do anything to like stop that, well, I'm going to call you out for it. I don't know why people on the left would think that they're exempt from that. When people use like fucking USSR flags and shit and talk about like how the United States is pretty much the same as like the USSR or North Korea. Well, it's like, well, fuck, like you're doing the exact same thing that the people on the right did.
I think I can't speak to this because I'm just a social justice warrior.
Amen.
I'm trying to think of like a good response. But
Eva does fucking social issues. I think you do too, mainly Izzy. So I don't think we disagree on anything. It's the people that get into the class and economic shit that I end up having hardcore disagreements with. But I'm pretty sure for Eva and Izzy,
I do also get into the class and economic shit, but I'm not as studied as all of the other people that you've debated. That's why I'm never going to come in and like challenge you to a debate on it. I never in my life until now was comfortable enough that I could have afforded to read theory, and I don't have any of that like crazy extent of knowledge. But I do like preach on class consciousness being a massive issue, and that like the grand utopian view would be a socialist society,
sure,
preferably a moneyless society and shit like that. But that's like grand utopian for me, and I believe that reform is the only way we can get people educated enough to be there.
Yeah, that's possible. But like, I wish I could have gone into Peter's video more, but we couldn't because he ran
But
away.
a cashless society, could that be a dystopian though? Because it means that everyone has the right to like get everything without working for it. It's like sounds a little bit dystopian. I think having a cashless society. Oh wait. Actually, cashless as in using cards. Okay, that's alright. But if they mean cashless as in like no one has to pay for anything,
had the Vanguard and we had the
like they could just get it, sounds dystopian.
Like ignoring all the bullshit that we couldn't deal with and that we wouldn't win the fight against the government. Pretend in a perfect world we did beat the government. What's going to happen then? Bunch of different sects with different viewpoints are going to form and war with each other. There's going to be a white nationalist group that wants their ethno-state. There's going to be...
You can pretty much call that a no capital society.
Fucking religious sects that don't want LGBTQIA people. There's going to be racist fucking rednecks. There's going to be the all progressive inclusivity everyone crowd, and none of them are going to agree on what the fuck needs to get done. And so yeah, I would hard agree that like getting rid of capitalism wouldn't get rid of racism, but capitalism does need racism and perpetuate it further is the problem.
How?
Capitalism has to keep pitting people against each other.
Doesn't have to be on a race basis though.
It doesn't. I guess if you wanted to get like down into pure ideology, it doesn't have to be.
Well, we could go empirical right now. In the United States, at least, and in probably most of the Western world, capitalism fights really hard against racism because racism doesn't pay money right now. Right? That's why on YouTube and on Twitter, that's why hate speech.
Communism fights fuck all about racism. They don't give a shit.
Massively racially charged as a society, and like the lower class is pitted against different minority groups.
To some extent, but like what I would say then is that like whatever economic system you have is going to be reflective of the underlying values you have. In a really racist society, capitalism would empower the fuck out of racist organizations. In a very woke society, capitalism would empower the fuck out of very woke. But I would say the same thing in a socialist system as well. In a
Am I still maxing out Destiny? Can you hear me fine now?
Yeah, I can hear you right now. Yeah.
Okay, fantastic. So what you guys are talking about here, the class antagonisms that would be set up under the frameworks of capitalism, for example.
And you know, this goes to how major companies like Mercedes and everyone else, like Mercedes Petronas, the painted F1 car black instead of silver to protest against Black Lives Matter. If you think of it, that's significant. That is like a company that big doing that. Just shows how much influence a capitalist society can have to combat racism. It's crazy. And Destiny's right on that point because like they can really stamp on racism.
We have seen racism be used to do that, right? So by giving white people, I'm trying to think. I'm still learning on this. So
we've seen the people on the top keep moving the lower class to fight minority groups. That way, they're not fighting the upper class.
So
Yeah, but
giving
they have to
slight
fight minority
freedoms,
groups. But in order to understand how that happens, you can't do that with a class approach. You have to take an intersectional approach to understand how. Why would a bunch of white people burn down Black Wall Street? There's money there. There's capital there. That's potential investment. That's potential consumers. How could you do that? You can never understand that with a class analysis. You have to be intersectional about it. That's my only argument.
Absolutely.
But okay, and then like your whole idea that because like society is moving towards that more woke and we're like fighting against racism, fighting against LGBTQ issues, like you see that on a fake level all the time. You see the rainbow from a company for 1 month out of the year, that then everyone who's working in that company, you'll see homophobic and transphobic slurs, jokes in their games or whatever product they create.
But that's people in general. That's not the
company
company.
doing it. Like fake pride for profit. You see that on like a racial level too. You'll see companies that wouldn't probably put fucking people of color up towards the highest.
But
tier
if
of the
anything,
totem,
you're
but
making
they'll
like
act like they're there for it.
If anything, you're making an even stronger argument in favor of capitalism then. You're telling me that racist individual actors in a company are so enslaved to profit, which I believe they are, that they will make woke games even if they don't believe in it because that's what the market demands. This is my whole argument, that like markets and capitalist
woke?
structures are just, when it comes to racial issues, they're functions of society. Capitalism doesn't dictate our racial issues to us, but society will cause racial issues to come in a capitalist market. The same way
Let's see injustices, okay.
Right, but under the capitalist system, it creates more antagonism. It's that because of the way the power structures are structured around poverty, and because of the way,
But
the
it's
actual
only
history
because
of humanity.
but it's only because poverty right now is structured a lot around race. But that wasn't a demand of capitalism. That was a function of other things in the past.
Yes, it's absolutely yes.
Capitalism
we're getting
building
to
throughout the
the point
past.
with this. It happens to do with history, right? But we're saying under this capitalist system, it's still going to exacerbate that. And in this scenario, in our history, it happened to be that this is the way it went down. That white people happen to have wealth and the property and the ownership.
Sure, but all I'm saying is that, I don't think we even disagree. I don't know what we're disagreeing on. Capitalism can be very woke, or it can be incredibly regressive. It just depends on what the underlying people are. That's all I'm saying. So, like, if you want to get rid of racism, changing capitalism won't do it, because you can be just as racist in a socialist system, in a monarchy, in a totalitarian system. Like, all of these things could be just as racist.
Of course,
sure,
absolutely. And we're all, but you're getting to the same point. Dave, when it comes to capitalism, is going to exacerbate. It's going to make that worse because there is going to be a power structure based on wealth.
Wait, capitalism can exacerbate what? You cut off.
Racism and bigotry.
Oh, it can, or it could cure racism and bigotry if there's enough money behind it.
It can't work the other way because there's going to be antagonism.
It's only antagonistic to classes, not to races.
Yes, we're agreeing on the same thing, Destiny. You're just not getting to the end of the...
My keeps cutting out. I'm losing it. Wait. Can you change like the server of like the server, like where it's hosted? Do you have a way to do that? Would it change everything? I don't know.
It's weird though. My chat is saying that we don't hear that at all.
Well, that's because you're streaming, so the cutoff is happening in Discord, not.
Okay. Yeah, it's not happening through your OBS. It's happening through Discord specific.
So for the person in your chat spamming, how the fuck does capitalism fix racism? Look at all of the conservatives crying right now in front of Congress saying that Facebook needs to be made a public utility because conservatives are getting banned on Facebook and sent to DLive. Conservatives are getting banned off of Twitter and sent to Gab. Conservatives are getting banned off of YouTube and sent to
with Donald Trump, like with Twitter. Twitter's silencing Donald Trump because of his fake accusations and stuff.
This is ridiculous. Well, yeah, because
that's how powerful.
And that's it. My argument is companies aren't doing these things because they're so good and they love society and they're trying to help people. They just do it because there's money to be made there. And if society becomes more woke, then the culture is going to become more woke.
But like capitalism isn't the one doing that. It's
that's my whole argument.
And the market is following.
Of course.
I think the key word in your argument isn't about like the market and capital. It's right now is the problem. The factor that counterculture is shifting back and we're seeing a massive resurgence in white nationalists and in bigoted groups that hate every other minority they can. That we're going to continue to see this shift in this pendulum effect with capitalism, and it's going to be the countercultures constantly fighting each other, that capitalism just keeps moving the pieces to keep that fight going. Right now, it might be kind of trying to solve some of those problems, but that's individual companies within capitalism enforcing their own TOS and actually responding to it, not capitalism itself. And I don't think it's going to.
Okay, you guys keep going back to this capitalism fixing anything. I agree. I'm not saying it is. What I'm saying is that your economic system has nothing to do with how racist or not racist your society is. That your economic system will always be a reflection of the underlying values. That if you had socialism with if you were to go right now and make fucking Alabama socialist, black people would be more fucked than they are now. And if you were to go to a super racist or a super not racist country and make the country like capitalist, they wouldn't all of a sudden become racist. That your economic system comes after whatever your society's underlying beliefs are. That's all I'm saying. Capitalism doesn't fix racism or cause racism. It just is a product of your society.
But would you agree it exacerbates?
No, it can exacerbate it or cure it. It can move in either direction. It's just going to be reflective of what the underlying societal values are.
Within a capitalist system, and we've already agreed on this, there's going to be class antagonism set up by different classes.
Yes.
That is always going to exacerbate racism.
Not necessarily. That's only if the races are unequally. This is what I'm saying. You need another analysis. You cannot do this on class alone. You can't. Wait. You cannot tell me on class alone why black people are fucked by the criminal justice system. You can't do that. You need an intersectional approach. You cannot do it using just fucking money, because we've shown that even if you control for socioeconomic conditions, black people are still discriminated against in different parts of. Wait, what's incorrect?
Through the prison system, that is entirely about capital. They're constantly fed into continually.
That looks really nice. I like this.
Discriminated against outside, marked as felons, unable to get a job, recur back to a life of crime, all to go to for-profit prisons that can legally use slavery.
So when police officers, wait, so when
Destiny is saying here, from my understanding, you're saying that this is racial, right? So yeah, there is a component that we do have people who are being funneled into this, but it's specifically race-based for the most part, right?
Oh, gosh.
So you can't just look at it from a
Oh,
capitalist
gosh, it's
perspective
so
and
large.
say this is racist because, right? Am I catching you right, Destiny?
yes, you can't just use a
Okay,
class
just
analysis,
the-
because when cops pull over black people and execute them in their fucking cars, they're not doing it because he thinks he belongs to a poorer class. They're doing it because they're black. Or is he for you? People don't harass this is a really inappropriate. I'm not trying to call you out, but when people harass certain LGBT members, right? They're not doing it because they think, oh well, LGBT people are of a lower class. They do it sometimes because they hate trans people, they hate bisexual people or gay people. You can't just analyze this on class. You have to bring in another type of approach to look at it.
I agree. I actually get into debates all the time with leftists who are fine with who go against anti-id poll rants and say that you don't have to forefront minority struggle, racism, or trans really gets brought up a lot in the anti-id poll rants. And so I completely agree with that analysis. But my point of pointing out the for-profit prison system, you're right. When a cop pulls someone over and shoots a black person because they're black, that is racially charged hate that's okay within this system, because this system is designed to oppress people of color and keep circulating them through, and cops are allowed to take a more aggressive stance against people of color.
Sure, that's great. I don't disagree with any of that. I don't think any of that has to do with class, though. It could happen in a socialist system. It could happen in a capitalist system. That's not a class problem. That's another type of problem. It requires a different approach. There are different power structures that intersect with different facets of your personality. You might face different struggles because you're a woman. You might face different struggles because you're LGBT. You might face different struggles because of the language you speak, because of a disability you have. And these require elevated forms of analysis that can't be reduced to class alone. That's my only argument.
I can agree with that. I hate class only arguments.
Yeah, I think we're all on the same page there. That's why I was kind of trying to summarize Destiny's, because I think that's I'm I don't know if y'all are hearing what he's saying here. We agree with this, and if we don't, there's a problem. But Destiny, how would you deal with class issues then?
I don't know if so I don't know personally if I have a problem with classes. If there's a lower class, a middle class, and an upper class, I don't know what would make that good or bad. So, for instance, if you had a theoretical society where the lower class had, maybe in Sweden, right, where you have universal healthcare, where you have guaranteed access to housing, where you are always going to have access to healthy food and education, I don't know if I care about the existence of a lower class. It seems like an okay system. Now, there are things that kind of conflict with that show, for instance, just having income disparity in and of itself in a community without anything else can be a predictor of crime. So stuff like that kind of shows maybe having a huge separation between classes in and of itself could lead to bad things, which would make me feel less excited about having different classes of people, or maybe you need to narrow them between classes. But intrinsically, class just isn't really something I care about. Like, you could have a society of people that are all middle class that don't have access to healthcare or housing markets, and it's like, well, fuck, well, what's the point? So yeah, the class just isn't something I care about or focus on. It's more like, what fundamental things do people in a society need to guarantee that they have access to the things that they should have
Oh,
access to?
yeah, that looks amazing.
I don't see how we're going to give everyone.
Yeah, that looks
access to those
great.
things
I
with
like
the
that.
class structure, because like a perfect example for this is.
Oh, that
tuition,
looks
right?
amazing. Yeah, like that.
In
That
this
looks
day
cool.
and age, and in most forms of employment, there are still some that take that level, right? But most degrees are just a show of status and class. That's it. You could afford to go to college. How many people do you know who aren't
Right,
even using their fucking degree? Like I don't see how you could get equality or any kind of equal opportunity with a lower and what we're referring to as middle class. But
Well, so like in Nordic countries, they still have classes of people, right? You've got lower class, middle class, upper class, and they still seem to guarantee a lot more to their citizens than we do in the United States. They don't have people dying or going bankrupt because of healthcare reasons. Most people seem to have access to education, or the access seems to be better than it is in the United States. Housing doesn't seem to, homelessness isn't as big of a problem there as it is in the United States. Like, but this all happens with classes, right? And I can point to socialist structures that have existed that have miserably failed and have served to widen classes as well. Like, for instance, even the Soviet Union system where healthcare was guaranteed to everybody, there was still a system of favors where you had to either pay money or trade other products in order to get access to like a second tier or a higher tier system. So like, it seems like these problems with access to things can occur in socialist structures or capitalist structures, like just changing the modes of production or changing the economic organization of your society by eliminating classes.
I like that. That looks. That's a really good title. Oh my gosh, that's like the best title I've ever done.
Nordic countries do a whole lot
Ever.
better
I
than the United States
period.
does. So we should probably move in that direction before considering some massive revolution that threatens our place on the world stage.
I'm definitely with moving towards that. I definitely agree. And I wish I knew more. Like, one of the things I always say, you own up that you lack in history. I lack in foreign policy and the way that foreign countries run. And that's something I'm trying to educate myself on. I wish I knew.
Oh,
how
that's
to respond to
amazing.
this, but I
Yeah,
just don't
definitely. Let's export
I don't
this.
know how to.
Export PNG first.
Sure, that's fine. The most common arguments given against me is that in a capitalist structure that exists in the United States right now, corporations and capital have so much power that there's no possible way you'll slowly transition towards any type of socialist utopia, because the actual people that run society or dictate the advertising are always going to make sure that people aren't informed enough to actually make those decisions to progressively move you towards that socialist society. That either the health insurance markets or some other large firm is always going to stand in the way with lobbyist money that's going to prevent like an actual democratic decision from happening that would move us towards a socialist society. That would be the counter argument.
Okay. So I'll pass on absolutely nothing because I'm petty and small. So I'm just gonna say that. Steve, even under like equality of opportunity, even under like a Marxist system, even Karl Marx himself said that it would be impossible for you to achieve perfect equality of opportunity. Like no one even trying to achieve, whether that be a socialist or a post-capitalist society, would I think bow to that point. Like it's just impossible. We're just going to be born different unless you engage in eugenics or something else of that nature. Everyone understands equality of opportunity will never be, no matter what economic system you're working under, is never going to be completely achievable.
Yeah, but that's not an argument against anything. Like, just like equality of opportunity isn't a binary; it's a gradual transition from one point to another.
Yes,
So like you'll never be the strongest person you can be, because if you wanted to be, you should have started working out when you were 4 years old. But just because you can't be like the perfect equality society doesn't mean that you can't like move towards it, right?
Yeah, no, absolutely. But I'm relating back to that earlier point you were saying that even if you're saying that there's this certain specific system that you wouldn't want to be able to, determine whether or not you can achieve these things. I'm saying even under a socialist system, if someone is building a different scenario or trying to envision a better world, they would still give you that caveat that they're not trying to achieve perfect equality.
Oh yeah, I just want to know that what's being like aimed for is going to be better than what we have now. And you
absolutely. Well, that's what everyone wants. Whether
so
it's,
that I
it's
can
you or myself.
Yeah, of course.
That's what we all agree
But like
on.
a violent revolution that dramatically reorganizes our economy into something that has never worked before on the planet, that's a pretty big gamble considering like what the risks are for doing that. So I'm not usually behind it.
I don't think you're talking to anyone who wants a violent revolution.
Okay.
Yeah, that's why I've hated our Twitter back and forth, Destiny, because I got lumped in with a lot of people who do want like vanguardist ideas. I'm completely against them. One of the main things I advocate for is free education. Is because after college level education, you see a massive drop statistically in like bigoted ideology. You see people get introduced to different kinds of cultures, different communities, different races, etc., and beliefs, and you see people coming out a lot more accepting of those. So under my hope is the first things we get are healthcare, so people stop fucking dying, and free education, so that they have a chance at better education and becoming better people, and then moving that towards better social systems and social nets, making us. We're gonna start leaning towards like social democracy, as much as that's a swear word with a lot of the commie community, and then from there progress in the future. But I don't think that'll ever be in our lifetime, and I don't think a revolution is the way to do it. I think a revolution would backfire almost instantly.
Sure, and I've said that a million times, that people that want like Bernie's form of social health, single-payer healthcare, that's way too extremist. It'll never happen. But if we move towards a multi-payer system, like a public option, and Americans are really happy with that, I could totally see us transferring from a multi-payer system to a single-payer system. I could see that happening in the future, 100%. And it might even be a better form of healthcare. Like maybe that would be superior. But like you have to look at like what's like politically viable, rather than just like going for the most extremist option.
See, I disagree. I think single payer is the only way to go.
Okay, well, I mean, like, all the voters right now seem to not agree, because Bernie's completely fucked in the polling, but I mean, I guess it's not just over, like, healthcare that people are voting on, but... no matter how the polls show, I'm still going to stand by what I believe, and mine is that single payer is the way that everyone gets covered, and without that... Yeah, but what if the choice is between multi-payer and what we have now, because single payer seems like it's too extreme to be on the table. Like,
if we had to start for multiplayer, I'm not gonna say no, but I'm gonna push for single payer that whole fight, and and vote for multiplayer if I have to. I'm really big on harm reduction, like, and that definitely includes voting.
Okay.
To everyone saying we have multipayer already, no, we don't. Like, Medicare and Medicaid are fucking pure garbage, and like. Millions of people are uninsured and still get sick and die. I haven't seen a doctor in 6 years. I'm one of the uninsured people. Like, literally, this system fails a lot.
So I gotta ask this because I don't know. Is the overwhelming amount of Americans, do they not want a single payer system?
The unfortunate answer is that it's complicated. I didn't get to talk to Peter about his video, but one of the examples that he brought up. Oh, cool. So one of the horrible examples that he brought up.
I do want to say before. I just want to say, like, sorry for yelling at you.
That's okay, buddy. It's all good. So one of the examples.
I'm not here to like. Yeah. Go ahead. Sorry.
Okay. Yep. Don't get too comfy because we're about to go right back into the video because we just segued back into it. So one of the actually, I'm not going to be mean. Okay, I'm not being mean. But one of the examples that Peter brought up in his video was like, well, look, most Americans identify that climate change is a problem. Therefore, and then the non sequitur part is therefore it should be easy to solve it. The problem is that climate change, like healthcare, isn't a binary problem. It's not like this person is doing an action and we need to stop it so we can fix it. The problem is that even if most people agree that something is a problem, that doesn't mean there's a clear policy way forward to fix it. So even if most people in the United States agree that like universal healthcare is the same, that doesn't mean there's a policy way forward. It might be that people don't agree with banning private insurance, or people don't agree with a public option, or people don't agree that it should be taxpayer funded, right? Like there's a million different problems that could prevent you. Even if most people agree that there is a problem, we might never have a policy position to solve it, much like Brexit that exists today.
No, he's got a kind of a point there, because like 53% on the latest poll I'm seeing, 53% of polled Americans are for single-payer healthcare. But I would say the biggest argument is how to pay for it, and I think this is definitely where Destiny and I are going to disagree. But for me, it's pretty fucking simple: tax the rich.
Well, I'm not going to disagree at all. The rich have the most to pay in taxes, or have the most wealth that they can pay taxes from. Now, how to implement that tax is a whole other discussion. But the problem with the problem you can see with things like Medicare for All is so the most recent polling. This is probably within the past year, maybe 6 months, and there might be more polls about this now because people are asking the intricate questions, the nuanced questions. When you ask Americans like, how do you feel about Medicare for All, that number is really high. It's like 80% when that's the question. But when you ask, how do you feel about Medicare for All when private insurance is banned, the support drops to like 24%. But when you ask, how do you feel about Medicare for All where private insurance isn't banned, but everybody is guaranteed insurance from the government, it rises to like 52% or something, right? So like the way that it's phrased, like the policy path forward can be very difficult, even if everybody agrees there's a problem. Much the same with climate change. Like you can get 99% of people in a room to say, look, climate change is a problem. And it's like, oh, cool, well, we can fix this. All right, guys, the first solution is you got to stop driving your cars. Okay, well, now your support just fell to like 3%, right? Well, holy shit. So even if people are united on a front saying, well, there's a problem, that doesn't mean that a policy way forward is going to be like a clear solution, that there's going to be like consensus around any particular policy.
No, I agree with that though. Entirely.
Okay. Well, I mean, like you made the big argument that democracy works in America because most people agree that climate change is a problem.
My main point, and you didn't get to quite the end, was just basically that it's not actually a democracy.
Well, but it can be a democracy. Americans all agree that climate change is a problem. They just don't agree what to do about it. Like, there's a lot of Republicans that would.
I entirely agree with you about that, though.
Oh, okay.
So I'm absolutely not going to argue that point against you at all. I agree. There are a lot of people who have a lot of different opinions on how you fix that, and I mean, there's no consensus on it. But at the same time, if there were not a corporate interference in the information economy surrounding it, it would be easier to come to a consensus, A, and B, if, for instance, it was less commodified healthcare. Like, to even go with the multi-payer example, if we were just simply less commodified in the healthcare arena, it would ultimately, I think, lead us in a direction where we're not having as much of a sort of lead discussion. Like, there's not a large amount of money going into advertising, or as large anyway.
So in your society where we no longer are capitalist and we're socialist, or we have co-ops or market socialists or whatever, would you ban all forms of advertising?
No.
Then why wouldn't a co-op be able to advertise for something the same way that a corporation does?
How do you... Okay, so what exactly is the relation that is expressed in the advertising? How is advertising bought and sold in a non-market economy?
So Exxon buys and sells advertising in order to bolster its capital, basically, right? To be more profitable as a company. So why couldn't a co-op like vote to do the same? Like, yeah, we should do what we do to protect our company, protect our jobs.
Well, I mean, okay, so they would vote, hey, I get to do this, but where do they get to do it? Like, what real estate do they have to advertise on?
You would just buy ads at a co-op owned like radio station or something. I don't know, wherever you normally buy ads.
What if the other co-op doesn't want that? Like, if it's not a market economy, what are they exchanging?
Oh, so wait, so we're out of a market economy completely.
For me, I would advocate out of a market economy.
So you would want like an entirely centrally planned system?
No, not entirely. You can have a democratically planned system. However,
wait. So when I say centrally planned, what I mean is like you're not using markets to determine the modes, like the inputs and the outputs of production, but you're using like some government body to do it. When I say centrally planned, I don't know. The source might know more. That's
okay, so I'll yeah.
Okay.
Fine. Yeah.
I mean, I can't argue against that. That's like a whole other bag of problems. Like the central planning problem is something that absolutely like has never been figured out by any country ever, and would require like an unfathomable or insurmountable amount of information and data processing. I don't know. I can't. Yeah. Sure. I mean, it'd be cool if we could centrally plan every part of our economy.
I'm not going to argue against that, though.
Sure, but like that doesn't. I don't get anywhere. Like I can't make any good prescriptions from that point of view. Like I can't if I take that point of view, I can't apply that to anything today in society to figure out how to make things better. I'm just fucked.
So here's the thing. Like what we're doing ultimately here is arguing idealism versus idealism.
No, that is not true. I'm not. Yes, I'm arguing for the practical reality that exists today, and I would give prescriptions today based on what we could do. So, for instance, maybe the EPA can make statements about what fossil fuel companies can or cannot advertise, or maybe we have things like cap and trade or carbon taxes that punish companies that pollute too much. So those are real policy positions that I agree with. When you counter with central planning,
with you on those policy positions, though, like within relative to this system today, that's exactly what I think that we should be doing.
So. I guess my question is, I see a lot of people looking way, way in the future, and we know we can't get there anytime soon. And then I see people like Destiny who are saying, this is what's possible now. But don't we want to make our this is what's possible now and our this is what we hope for way, way in the future kind of come together so that we're moving towards a specific goal? I'm not sure. That's just my thoughts, but...
I would agree.
Yeah.
I guess my thought here is that like what this is ultimately, and I would even go ahead and say pretty much every single one of these discussions has ultimately been like the argument towards or against rather the ideal of what X person has. Like I come in and I say, hey, I don't want a market, I don't want this, I don't want that. But unfortunately, like idealism isn't automatically antagonism. Like it takes.
It is though when like because so for instance, and I'm just appealing to chat right now, but like I could appeal to YouTube comment sections or other commenters. Usually when people like me make these types of like incremental suggestions, I get called a capitalist bootlicker, a status quo supporter, liberal, fascist, neoliberal like defender, that I'm just defending the existing establishments and I never want anything to change. Like that's usually the response from the left about any of these issues. That's why you see like all of these hit piece videos now made on on Elizabeth Warren. Like people are saying she's like basically a Republican, she's a horrible piece of shit, blah blah blah. Like like it's the same shit that you would have expected to see like Republicans basically make against her, except now Bernie Bros are doing it because she's like not far left enough for him.
Sure. And I go ahead.
I was just gonna say, like, I hear what you're saying, and I think maybe I'm wrong on this, but from my understanding, that's like a lot of frustration based on people who are getting left out and who are like, we are losing a lot of people still, and there's the hope that we can do better. This is something I struggle with a lot because I'm like, is this possible? But also look at how much damage is still happening, and there's a lot of difficulty there for sure.
It's
I don't
so
know if I
adorable,
agree with
Eva, when you talk and then looking at
Oh my
this
gosh, I
scenario,
can't
it's just,
believe
like, doing this, Eva is so based icons. It's really cute.
Yeah, this has been base means good. So this is my big problem is that I actually totally disagree with you. I don't feel like the lefties online care about who's getting left out or not. Like even BreadTube has made videos about this, about how insanely white and insanely college educated a lot of these leftist audiences are. Like these are people who at the end of the day don't have any intimate attachment to any of these issues, because at the end of the day the only thing they care about is pushing through like their fun like socialist revolution because it's like the biggest meme that they want to do. But when it comes to saying things like, hey, we have a Supreme Court that's on the verge of possibly rolling back Roe v. Wade. It'd probably be good to get a Democrat in. And the people on the left are like, well, no, getting Biden in, that's not any real change.
I'm going to
That's
start
the
on a
same
little
thing." Or
post.
electing I don't know if Kalinske specifically said this. Or
I don't know if I should do character designs
that's the same
first.
type of person that got us Trump. It's like,
That'd
there's
be a
like
good
no
idea.
meaningful difference to a lot of these people between Elizabeth Warren, Joe Biden,
We'll see how
and
it
Donald Trump.
goes.
It's all part of the same establishment, and it's either Bernie or some more left figure, or that's it. Like these people seem like they don't care about people who are getting left out or people who have like actual issues that they're dealing with every day. It's more just the socialist revolution.
The reason I had this view is because of my mod actually specifically has the view of the single payer healthcare that might be a little bit extreme for us right now, but Patch is hard of hearing and brings a lot of
okay, so now
around
that that's
disabilities,
done,
and that is exactly why, because of the disability issue and his concern around that. So I can't speak to those people, of course, but I know that that is
Let's
at
do
least
new.
in Patch's case the reason why.
Let's do the same. I'm going to call it like a...
I think on the whole, like, we need to get someone left in, like I said it earlier, harm reduction really matters. So, like, while I'm going to scream that I hope Bernie gets it, and then I'm going to keep Warren as my second pick, when voting day comes, if Biden's the only option, I'm fucking biting my pride and taking Biden. I did it with Hillary. I'll do it again. Anything better than the current shit status quo has to be enacted. Like fucking harm reduction really matters. Your point towards like the Supreme Court being against Roe v. Wade, fuck in.
What's this? Debates tree of budget.
Don't fucking even own a rifle! Oh my god! I mean, it's the standard Republican! She's never shot before either. I guarantee you, crowd, she has never fucking held a fucking gun in her life! Hello.
Hey.
What's up?
Nothing much. How are you?
I'm doing great. Okay, what are we talking about again?
We are going to talk about police brutality, police, and everything dealing with the black community. With that in mind.
Okay, we're talking about police brutality. Okay.
Yeah. I don't think you remember me, so do you mind if I give you a little rundown of who I am? Because, when you all hear about a right winger, you assume that I'm like that Papa Candace Owens or Anthony. I love the Ku Klux Klan because they gave my grandmammy and grandpappy Christmas gifts. I'm nothing like them, and so.
Okay. Oh wait, real quick. I'm not sure if you know this, but I'm streaming now too, right? You know that. You're aware of that.
Yeah.
Okay. Just make sure. Okay. Yeah, go for it.
Yeah. So I am an independent right winger, and I did like Trump in just for the record. I'm not a mega cultist. I didn't take Trump's presidency seriously. I hate Hillary Clinton. And so as of right now,
I think everyone did
when I
take
used to
Trump's
support
presidency
President
seriously,
Trump,
and
you
now
know,
there's
I
this
was
is the
thinking
problem.
that, oh
This
man,
is
he's
what
really gonna
this is the
come through for
consequence.
us. And after a
The
while,
consequences.
I realized that he's not a Republican at all. You know, he's more of a Democrat than anything, and he brought a bunch of libertarians and Bernie Bros with him, and they just completely just saturated the right, and it doesn't even. I even that's what made me
Right.
go
Okay.
independent. So
Wait, you think
I'm
Trump isn't a Republican?
absolutely not.
Wait, so I'm really curious. On what major policy points does Trump break from Republicans?
Well, first of all, let's talk about what's going on right now. Tell me, name me one Republican president that's all about gun control. Okay, Trump has signed the bump stock ban, which allowed the ATF to redefine what the bump stock is. Instead of it being an accessory, it decided to be a rifle. That is unconstitutional. And he is very, very pro red flags. That right there, just talking about it makes me very angry when he's talking about red flag gun law confiscation. And then he's talking about some bullshit with we did common sense background checks and intelligent background check. What the fuck does that mean? And it's like, and then when they had the mass shooter up there in Virginia, the mass shooter used a suppressor, which some of you all may know is a silencer. And then the asshole's telling us, well, I don't like suppressors either. We should think about banning suppressors. And I'm like, this man has done more against my gun rights, my Second Amendment, than Clinton and Obama put together. That's just one. Let me give you another one. He signed the omnibus bill. Are you familiar with that? That happened on February the 15th.
Okay, wait. Can we go through these one at a time instead of like
sure.
laying out a million points? So firstly, the bump stock ban is like such an
So
incredibly niche part of the gun market that it's not.
I need to think about
So
this.
what? So what? What?
Okay, wait.
Just
Can I
because
please,
it's. Sorry, I'm sorry.
That's okay. So you presented the argument as like Trump is all about anti-gun stuff or whatever.
Yes.
The first point of evidence you brought me is banning one of the most niche accessory. I didn't even know what a bump stock was until the Las Vegas stuff happened. This is a super niche accessory that not many people know or care about. Like, it's like a fun thing to have on a gun, and it's kind of fun, but you're not like really impacting guns.
Let's clear that.
Okay.
Yes, it does, because first of all, just for transparency, I
Use a
don't
3D
and would
model.
not use a bump stock because it's not accurate. You can't shoot accurately with those things.
Oh, no,
on the side of your rifle.
You can't shoot accurately with a bump stock on?
No, you cannot.
You can shoot pretty accurately with a bump stock.
No, you cannot. Have you done it?
You can see people do it. Yeah, it's not that hard.
Wait a minute. Excuse me.
What?
Have you done it?
Me personally, no.
Then you can't speak from experience.
Okay, have
so
you
hush
been
your mouth,
president
okay? The
before?
thing about
Wait.
it is-
Have you been president before? Oh, well then you can't say anything
Wait a
about
minute,
Trump. Oh, I
that's a
guess we just
false
ended the whole
comparison.
conversation,
You know what,
didn't we?
Steven? You are famous for the false comparison,
No,
dude.
hold on. No.
Suck at false comparison.
Oh,
you want to
no,
sit here
don't
and
do
say,
this
I
to me.
shot.
Oh,
Hold on.
no. It's too
I
early to
shot.
get this mad.
I own rifles. I own guns.
That's great. I own rifles and I own guns too.
Stop being triggered.
I'm not
shot
triggered right now.
a
You're the one saying the
rifle
real
with
dumb
an
shit.
accessory.
Yeah, maybe you
I
suck shit
have
at
the
shooting then. I don't know,
experience,
dude. That's
and
maybe
you
that's on
don't.
you.
So my thing is, if I have the experience of shooting a rifle with a bump stock on, and you don't, which one of us has more experience about talking about the bump stock and how accurately it shoots?
The bump stock.
You never shot the damn thing, so how you know it shoots?
Because you
accurately?
can watch other.
Because you saw somebody do it. Just because you saw somebody give a blowjob, does that mean you know how to do it?
So we have this really great thing in society where we can learn from other people. We don't have to actually experience everything, ourselves, in order to know whether or not something is possible. So for instance, when I get into an airplane and I have a guy lift off and land, and somebody asks me, do you know if this guy knows how to land a plane? And I go, yeah, I think he probably does. Why? Have you landed a plane before? I'm not going to make these weird, vague, claims to experience or whatever. So based on every other person that I've seen that knows about guns and has made videos about talking about bump stocks, it seems like they're fairly accurate for what you would expect a fully automatic rifle to fire like. Now, does this mean you're going to be pinging fucking targets at 100 yards, full auto with a bump stock? No, but you're not doing that on a fully automatic rifle anyway. Okay.
So let's use your airplane example.
I don't even.
Okay. You're seeing someone land an airplane and you're just assuming they can land. But my question to you is, just like this bump stock being accurate, is have you landed a plane before? The answer is no.
No, but I don't need to land a plane.
How do you know? You do need to know how to shoot a gun.
Wait, I don't need
know how to shoot accurately. You're talking like a libtard who's like, I know all about guns. All I gotta do is put bullets here, aim, push, and pull. You know, I do so many stories.
Well, I'm curious. What kind of rifles do you own?
None of your business.
You don't fucking even own a rifle. Oh my God! I mean, it's the standard Republican. She's never shot before either. I guarantee you, crowd. She has never fucking held a fucking gun in her life.
$500 if I show you. Hold on. 500. No, seriously. Seriously, if I
shit,
go get
dude.
a video.
All right, let's just move on to the next topic. No, it's all good, dude.
No. You ain't gonna call me out like that.
Nah, it's all good. I don't give a fuck. I don't care about this topic.
$500 if I go to get a video right now.
I don't give a fuck, dude. I don't care.
$500.
I don't care.
Me showing shooting a rifle.
I don't care. Okay. So
don't make no false. Don't make any false accusations.
You literally just made a false accusation against me, saying I'm a liberal that doesn't know anything about fucking guns. What do you think I am? First of all, I am pro.
You don't even know shit about shooting a rifle when you said I never shot one with a bump stock. So my question is that you never shot a rifle with a bump stock. So how the fuck would you know if it's accurate or not? Because you've seen someone?
Because you can listen to other firearm experts and see what they say.
Blowjobs because you've seen someone do it?
No, but we're not asking about.
What?
Stop!
Oh my God! Really? How is that possible?
You are making a false equivalency after accusing me of doing one. If you were to ask me, listen, if you were to ask me, can you fire a bump stock well because you've seen other people do it? I would say, well, no, of course not. I don't think I can fire one well just because I've seen other people. That wasn't the question. The question was whether or not bump stocks were relatively accurate. Was whether or not they could shoot accurately. I don't know if I could shoot accurately with a bump stock. I've never used them before.
Shut the fuck up about shooting accurately if you've never done it.
That's not the question.
Don't sit up here and tell me that
the question.
That if it shoots accurately when you never shot it before.
The debate topic is not whether or not I personally can use a bump stock to fire a rifle accurately.
That a bump stock is not accurate. You said it is. I said, how the fuck would you know? Did you shoot one? No. Then you can't speak from experience. You can't speak from experience. I can.
Do you think AK-47s are accurate? Because have you shot one before? Like, do you think M16s are accurate? Have you shot one before? Like, we could run this dumb fucking analogy down for literally anything. Do you think that a Corvette is faster than?
You shot an AK?
No, I haven't. Well, looks like neither of us can talk about AKs. What other things can we not talk about because we haven't personally done them?
I own an AK. What the fuck are you talking about? Listen.
Wait, you own an AK-47, a fully automatic AK-47 in the United States?
I was trying to give you some background about me, but you got caught on with the. No, seriously. I'm not lying. This is why you made an assumption about me without even me giving you.
You started with the assumptions, okay? Chill.
I did not start with assumptions.
You told me that I have no idea how to handle guns. You said I've never touched a gun before. I think the bullet goes here.
That was being pro-gun control. I started with the bump stock ban. You want to sit up here and challenge me about whether the bump stock will allow the rifle to shoot accurately or not. I said you are.
I'm not gonna lie, but it looks kind of stupid.
You know what I'm saying? Like, well, I've seen people do it. I was like, what the fuck does that mean? I actually shot, one with. I shot rifles with the bump stock attached to it, and it's not accurate. It's not. And then you want to sit up here and tell me that you know what the fuck you're talking about because you've seen someone do it. Hence why I always say, well, do you know how to suck dick because you've seen someone do it to you or seen someone else do it?
The question isn't whether or not I know how to fire a bump stock.
No, I said accurately. No, you challenged me. Go rewind the video.
Okay, this is getting a bit...
That there are other countries that have existed like the...
Own your sneaker style and ASOS.
USSR that had a far superior constitution to the United States. There were way more rights that were delegated out specifically in these texts than anything our Constitution provides for. But the difference is in the United States, we have strong institutions that guarantee those rights. And that at the end of the day, your rights come down to the institutions that exist to protect them, not just what's on paper. So when somebody tells me that we have all these freedoms in the United States and all that, and we do have a lot in some ways that I think are really cool, and I appreciate that, I'm trying to think of it from the perspective of somebody that can't afford things. How much do these rights matter? So, for instance, if we made it so that every single gun in the United States cost $20 million, does your right to own a gun actually exist at that point? Like,
no. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Radio Free America. We've got Destiny joining us tonight. But first, let me remind everybody, we're brought to you tonight by The Dollhouse, the finest purveyor of waifus on the planet. If you're going to buy a doll, buy from the biggest, buy from the best at dollhouse.com. Also, rocketheater.com, off-grid heating for your house, your hunting lodge, your cabin. If you mention my name, Halsey, you get $50 off your first order at rocketheater.com. Destiny, how you doing, man?
I'm doing great. How you doing?
I am doing fantastic. I watched your kind of panel with Jesse Lee Peterson the other day.
Mm-hmm.
It begs the question. You seem like I don't know about like all the degeneracy shit that people talk about, but you seem pretty level-headed when it comes to like gun rights, when it comes to capitalism, when it comes to being against riots. Why Biden?
I mean, why not? I mean, we could literally talk about almost any reason. Where do you want to start? I mean, or I can...
No, I'm saying like give me, what's your main reason? Like, what's the biggest reason you think why Biden?
So biggest reasons are, one, I would like to see the biggest right now is getting a comprehensive handle on the coronavirus. It's unlikely, but it's possible that we could still be more than 12 months out from a vaccine. It's possible. Now, optimistically, we're looking for halfway through next year that we'll start having something distributed. But it's pretty clear right now that the current administration just doesn't have a handle on what's going on. And if for no other reason, like the coronavirus, I think is reason enough to want somebody like Biden in office over Trump.
But what could Biden do differently? That's what I've been stuck on this for a while now. Obviously, I probably have I have less of a fear of it, and I'm speaking as someone. Listen, my wife's on quarantine right now. I have to figure out a way to handle my kids. My mom has it. My father's on quarantine because of it. My main client has it. So I get the fear, but I don't understand what Biden could do differently.
So the best thing that we could probably have right now is a federal top-down response in terms of how we ought to be dealing with the coronavirus. Like, what is the process by which schools are open? Do we have these mandates state by state for mask wearing, for social distancing? Like, these are the types of things that we need so that we can move into the next era of our existence and get away from this 100,000 fucking cases a day of coronavirus stuff.
I agree. See, I agree with that, but I don't know how we could have a federal top-down mandate because New York is not the same as Oklahoma, and where I am in New Jersey is completely different than Texas.
That might be true, but like something simple, like every single person going to public areas should be forced to wear a mask. I don't think it matters what state you're from. Like, that should be a thing. Or even, you could also have like state-by-state guidelines that they're forced to follow certain guidelines depending on the number of active cases reported per day as a percentage of city or state. Like any type of response like this would be superior to what we're doing right now, which from the top down is literally nothing.
You don't think Trump's doing anything?
Well, he's not. No, we haven't. There is no federal top-down guidance on or authority on like how states should be handling like lockdowns and stuff.
He got rid of the freaking pandemic code book. I mean, that's just bad.
You know, I mean, we're still at 25% capacity on dining. Most schools are pretty much shut. I mean, my kids go to a private school, so they're open. But I mean, they're shutting down all the time. Like they just shut down for 2 weeks a little bit ago, just because one kid came up positive. So, I mean, how is it that Trump or Biden could put a federal mandate on how schools open when that's usually something that's left to local school boards?
Well, I mean, it wouldn't be left. So, I mean, like the first thing they could do is you could put pressure on Congress as president to pass some type of legislative action, assuming that the president can't.
Right.
Which I think we're still up for debate on whether or not that's the case. But yeah, I mean, that would be like the first step. If nothing else is possible, like executively, then force Congress to pass some kind of legislative, some kind of emergency bill to allow the federal government to give top-down guidelines on this is what states ought to be doing right now to control, if for no other reason, for the health and safety of our country.
Oh wait, what?
But I mean, do you really think it's that out of control that this is necessary?
Yeah, we're reporting
Star Wars
day after day after day. We went from posting all-time highs in the stock market to all-time highs in the case reportings. Like,
yeah, I don't like.
That's actually so cool. Star Wars.
I'm just saying that we're fucking up hard right now. Like,
Like you think
not bad, not bad at all. That's a good one. That's a good
well,
one.
like, we're not even on our second wave because we never even
That-
really
that's
got
a good-
over the
that's a
first
good-
one.
that's a
Yeah, and
good
we're coming up into the winter months. We heard this is going to be gone in summer, and we're reporting record numbers of cases, which means in the following weeks we're probably going to start seeing the death tolls increasing as well. Like,
but I mean, we haven't seen a real dramatic increase in deaths. So
not
I mean,
yet, but that's because we're just recently starting to spike up more and more in cases. But you typically see the deaths follow like anywhere from like 10 to 14 days after, right? It still takes a while.
Well, what about the whole herd immunity argument? Because I mean,
Herd immunity it requires like 70%.
Man, I need to get into Final Fantasy now. You know what? I'm gonna stream it. I'm gonna stream it. I'm gonna stream it on my other channel. I'll just play Final Fantasy 14. Not now, but like pretty much.
Wait,
I don't know when I
that
feel
is
like paying
not
£10.
true. Every
the
single
whole
health
month,
expert
and just
that's
literally just
publicly
crap
spoken
on me
on
Final
this
Fantasy.
has said that herd immunity, the idea of getting herd immunity through this, is a myth. That is not true. The only people that talk about herd immunity are politicians that are ignoring and choosing to ignore the advice of health experts. Now, it's possible that there is some
Right,
random
what other
crazy
medieval games
fucking
there
doctor
is? I think there's,
somewhere that blah, 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 but no head of any health institute,
Let
nobody
me
in the
think.
CDC or the NIH or nobody in the United Kingdom. I have not heard any like public reputable health experts talk.
Is it Chronic Trigger?
I mean,
or something?
there's been a few, but I mean,
Chronic
you are right. There have been none from the NIH, there have been
Trigger?
nothing from the CDC.
So
But
like,
I'm also not sure.
is that was
what
Chrono Trigger? That's
to
what's called.
speak out in any way that would disagree with.
So what are their posts? What's that poster like?
I'm not saying
Chrono
that as a
Trigger.
conspiracy theory. I'm saying that's how any agency functions well, is if the people have to follow from the boss.
Kira Toriyama's
So
voice, so
this
cool.
is my question, I guess.
Sure.
America's supposed to be like a really great country. We should be able to do great things. So
Agreed.
why is it that countries like New Zealand or Australia or South Korea or Vietnam, these guys didn't have to do herd immunity. These guys didn't have to have thousands and thousands of people die. Why do we have to? Why can't we follow their models? You have to give me an answer besides we're different.
No, I'm not going to give you an answer besides we're different. And I've the cases that you've mentioned in Asia now, Vietnam. I'm not sure about South Korea, but Vietnam, China, Cambodia, Bangladesh, they all stopped reporting test results.
Okay, I don't even know if that's true. I don't believe that's true, but let's say that is true then. What about South Korea, Australia, New Zealand?
I don't know about South Korea, so I'm
South
not
Korea has
Okay,
a highly dense population.
Not really getting
of
much
around
out of this.
55 million people, and they
Chrono Trigger.
crushed this. I
What
wanna say
other
their deaths are
medieval
in the
like
triple
games
digits.
or like fantasies?
I'm not doubting you. I just don't know about South Korea. I know New Zealand took some pretty draconian steps to avoid its spread, and Australia did in anywhere where there was a peak. So I know that.
Please, no Final Fantasy. I don't want Final Fantasy. I just want I just want fantasy. Just fantasy. When I say fantasy, I mean fantasy, not Final Fantasy. Just fantasy, fairy, like mystical dragon posters. That's it. Not Final Fantasy. I don't care about Final Fantasy right now.
I think they've had like.
And he's giving me Final Fantasy. Okay.
Which I mean, granted.
Oh, actually, what's this? I like this.
Small population, so
Oh, that's
New Zealand. New Zealand is not closing down again. They have not talked about that.
Well, it says Final Fantasy.
Australia
This is
is
Final
open.
Fantasy. I'm pretty sure it is.
Are they?
I like that.
I know if they
Not
have,
bad.
it's very recent.
They opened once, and then they had to close down a little bit because Victorian cases were spiking, and then they got rid of
I
all the
use that
cases,
as an
they crushed
idea,
it, and then they've
actually.
reopened.
I don't.
But I want
necessarily
something like this. This is what I'm trying to get. This is what I want. This is the post that I'm trying to do here. But the other way around.
When you say
I'm
that
trying to do
things
that.
well were different, the one
Like you can see the action, like what I want to do is have like someone riding a horse or like somebody just poses and stuff. I'm just trying to figure out like what to poses and stuff to do. This is literally the
Then we've lost
perfect
the
representation. This
conversation's
one.
moot. I was
This
waiting
is
for the
exactly
violent
what I want,
revolution
but in
because
reverse.
people are gone, I guess.
I mean, we're already kind of in that. I mean,
And that's what I try to do
close to
here,
that.
but this is too in.
No, I said
This is
kind of.
facing
We're
towards
obviously
me. I
not
don't want it
vocal,
facing
but I
towards
mean,
it.
they're
I want it
putting
facing
40
that way.
businesses right now,
So let's get rid of this.
I mean,
Sure,
I
but
don't
this
think
is
there's-
nowhere like thinking there's gonna be some protests or riots on election day is nowhere close to like open, violent civil war or whatever. But like what you're telling me is,
do you believe that anyone is going to accept the results of this election?
it'll probably depend on how much it goes one way or the other. But I mean, eventually we'll get over it. We always do. We got over Bush v. Gore, right?
You know what's funny is I didn't think that I thought that was going to lead to a lot more violence than it did. Like that was a pretty defining time in my life. Like I was in college at the time, and it it was crazy because we had never seen.
Okay, so I want that. Let's just do this. Let's do this. Let's do this. Right. Okay. So sword poses. Let's go for poses. This is an important thing. This is what I
I'm
want.
just saying, like, I don't believe that any segment of the population is going to
Action poses. Okay, let's go for action poses.
Yeah, maybe. I mean,
not particularly
I don't know why
these are too wacky. That's too much.
But like, I want to return to something you said earlier, which is incredibly sad to me. You said that this is not a compliant population. Do you think that the United States is so lost that we can't come together and do something for the better of the country? Like, don't you remember you must remember after 9/11 how the country came together in ways that it never had before. People were talking about New York drivers were actually like nice and courteous to each other. Like,
I like this one.
Like, the people were a lot different.
Yeah,
in the days following,
this is one of the poses.
Country unity. I think Bush's approval
rating
is higher than ever
I'm gonna have that.
You don't think it's possible that Americans can weaponize their patriotism?
I'll save this. This is not what I want. But
something like
this can be used for
just
something.
impossible. We're the only country that can't handle that.
So number one, I live 10 miles outside New York City. I remember 9/11. Like,
let's create a references, right? Title.
You know what it was? I think that a lot of what we did on 9/11 was wasted because immediately after we wound up going into Afghanistan and Iraq and causing this massive quagmire. Now nobody has any kind of faith that they're doing the right thing. Like 9/11.
So let's drag that.
And it almost shows why we shouldn't have been because of the way that our politicians took advantage of us right after that.
Pose it. Oh wait. Poses.
You know, and I think that, do I think we're capable of coming together as a nation to accomplish something? No, I really don't.
I like this.
I don't think we see each other as
Poses reference.
I think we see each other as enemies.
Okay. Well, I mean, that's a pretty dim review of things. So
I mean, this is not what I want in the title. This is what I could use when doing my comic.
Nihilistic.
These poses.
No, because I don't see that as being necessarily a bad thing. I don't think I'm not one of these people who thinks mass violence is on the way and that we're going to wind up
maybe
in the streets and all of that. I just think that there's eventually going to be a separation. I don't believe that America can remain fifth the United States for that much longer.
Okay, I don't think that's happening anytime soon. I think that's fantastic to believe that, but I mean, I guess we'll see, right?
I mean, what do you say by anytime soon? I'm saying in the
within the next 100 years, I don't think that we're going to be breaking off. We might add states, but I don't think we're going to have states like breaking off or anything like that.
I think that we're not going to have any option. I really don't.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully Biden unifies the country in unprecedented ways, and we don't have to worry about that, I guess.
Listen, I mean, but I want to ask you because as I said, I respect your opinion on these things because I watch your stuff and I watch your reasoning on these things, and you don't seem to be completely out of your mind when it comes to it. How does it not bother you that Biden has trouble putting together like complete sentences? That he doesn't seem to really have the grasp.
No. Biden seems perfectly fine with sentences.
People say that, but it's just not true. If you watched his last performance against Trump, he was, and this is surprising to me, he was more articulate than Trump in that conversation, which I didn't know Biden even could be, to be honest, because Trump usually has the upper hand in those types of exchanges. But I thought that Biden was incredibly coherent during that debate, and these aren't scripted, prepared answers. These are live things formulated as having given. So, I mean, I think that Biden has the capability to speak as well as anybody. If we want to point to random stuff like that, I can point to Trump needing like an escort to walk down a ramp so he doesn't fall over and hurt himself, or Trump not being able to raise a glass of water to his lips.
Wait,
I don't think that dwelling on like the mental capabilities of any individual like that does anybody well. I think that people get way too hopeful that somebody's going to like lose their mind or some dumb thing like that is going to happen. I don't know. People did it with Hillary, and I don't know.
Well, I'm not raising like that I think he's going to lose his mind. I look at it this way. I don't want Kamala Harris as president. Like I'm more comfortable with a Biden presidency than I am with a Kamala. Like Kamala Harris is just as bad as Bernie Sanders as far as I'm concerned. And I don't want a Mike Pence presidency either. Okay. But when I look at like Trump,
I want someone to wield a lancer as well. So
I mean, I think
it sounds like a copy of Final Fantasy, but I'm just stealing their ideas. Fuck it, I don't really care.
Okay.
It's not like it's Final Fantasy anyway.
That we have to look at what could happen in the next 4 years.
Well, I mean, it's a legitimate argument. I mean, I guess, but only if I didn't like Kamala Harris. I'd take Kamala Harris over Trump too. So I mean, that's an easy one.
No idea is an original idea. I mean, let's be honest.
What does Kamala Harris speak to you on? I mean, as I said, you seem to be an avid capitalist. Like I would consider myself less of a capitalist than you.
Okay.
So, I mean, and she's as committed to socialism as they get. Like
I don't think anybody in the mainstream Democratic Party. If you're looking for socialists, you have to go very, very far left. You have to go like AOC and the Squad
get to anybody that's remotely socialist. Kamala Harris is not even remotely socialist.
But Kamala Harris,
so let's see some black hair.
I mean, she's
something like this. Something like this. I think this is the pose I want as well. Let's put that here.
Equality and all that. Like,
oh, come on, dude! Like,
she
really?
speaks to the socialist wing of the party. She's been rated the most liberal senator in the Senate by quite a few outside organizations.
Yeah, I guess it depends on how we define socialism. I mean, I guess if your idea of socialism is the government doing stuff, then I support that idea of socialism, I guess. If you're talking about the idea of abolishing capital and private property and making it so the workers own
I
I'm not in favor of that, but I don't think Kamala Harris is either, so.
I don't even think that actually, like, AOC and all them really are. I mean, I think that AOC and Ilhan Omar are...
AOC and Bernie are definitely closer to that. Bernie and AOC literally promoted a bill, I think, that would have made it so that every company had to give 20% of its shares to, like, distribute it between its workers or something like that. Like, they were definitely closer to that actual socialist stuff than Kamala Harris wanting, like, public option for healthcare.
Well, I mean, she wants Medicare for all. I mean, she co-sponsored the bill.
Yeah, so sure, but I mean, like, she's not going. That's not going to happen because the Democratic Party rejected Medicare for all. The Democratic Party typically wants the public option, or as Pete Buttigieg says, Medicare for all who want it.
But I mean, like, how do you feel about Biden with, let's say, gun rights? Because I know we spoke about.
Oh yeah, the Democrats suck on gun rights, but I don't really care that much about them. I like guns. I think they're fun, but that's not like a killer deal for me. Like, if I have to choose between gun rights and having like a public option, like, I'll throw my guns away instantly.
Okay, that's fair enough then. I thought it was a big deal, too.
No, I like guns. I think they're cool. I think that they're way over talking pointed. Like, I don't think gun shit is that relevant to any part of America, to be completely honest. But it's just when it happens, it's incredibly fucking vocal and incredibly fucking visceral. Like, nobody wants to think of kids being killed in schools or, hundreds of people being killed at a single point in time. But compared to other issues, I think by the numbers, I don't think gun stuff is that important. But it's a big selling point for Democrats. But yeah, but I also, like, I just don't care that much about it. Like, if somebody said I had to, throw my Glock or whatever, it's like, whatever, I don't care. It sucks, but like, if it's between that and joining the rest of the first world, the rest of the developed world with things like public healthcare, then yeah, fuck it.
See, I'm just this is one of those times where I don't think that American exceptionalism would work. Like, I don't believe that the way that our protections are erased through our Constitution, that we can have a public option that will work.
Why not?
Number one, legal protection. Our Constitution gives us a right to sue over anything that is higher value than, I think, $13.
Okay.
So if the public option is that the public is running healthcare, then the public is going to have to deal with the lawsuits that come from all medical malpractice issues. And we're already talking about...
The public already deals with that. Your public already deals with all sorts of malpractice. I mean, look at New York. New York spends... This is a surprising figure, and I can't even believe I'm quoting this because I didn't believe it until I looked it up. That New York City spends $250 million a year settling lawsuits for the publicly funded police department. So we already do a lot of, like, legal-related stuff for publicly funded stuff. It's not like there's no precedent for that in the United States. So, and then we've already got, like, Medicare. What?
An individual doctor in the United States has to take out about $200,000 in medical malpractice insurance just to cover the lawsuits that they're hit with.
Okay.
If that all becomes on the government in order to provide, I mean, we're talking about trillions of dollars of liability that will now be on the government as opposed to being on private insurance companies.
Okay. I mean, we'll have to figure it out. I mean, like, everybody else has figured this out. We have to. This is embarrassing for me to not have this figured out. I don't know why. I'm an American. I think that this country is very exceptional. I think that there are things that we can do. I don't know why we keep making excuses. We fucking killed it in World War II. We've done amazing fucking things. We put people on the fucking moon. We figured out so much crazy shit. We invented the fucking automobile. We used to lead the world in science and technology and education. People from all over the world still come to this country to get educated in the United States. The idea that we're just too dumb to figure out how to... I just reject that. It's embarrassing to me. And as somebody that has, like, an international audience, and as somebody that has a son, like, it's embarrassing to me to have to continue to make excuses for why we can't do something that every single other developed country
so
has
cold.
done. I reject the idea that we're just so exceptionally worthless or stupid.
No, okay,
I reject the idea
we
that we can't pass some bill or some legislation to let us do it. Like, everybody else has figured this out. It would make the country better off. It would make our people better off. It would make our economy better off. Okay, sick workers and all that shit waste time in the economy. We generate less revenue. Like, this is such a non-issue. I don't want to have to ever debate or argue about this. Like, we should have some form of, at the very least, like, a public option. Like, we should be done with it. We should have moved on from this issue a long time ago. I don't know why we fight it. I don't know why the majority of people that do fight it are people that can't afford healthcare anyway. Like, I don't know. I don't understand the huge fight against it.
So, there's a lot that I can answer in that one.
Yeah.
I also believe in American exceptionalism to the point where I think that we can figure out private insurance. I think that we've made a lot of big mistakes, and I think one of the biggest is tying it to our jobs because it's not portable. So a person can't switch careers without actually having to consider that they might lose their health care.
Yep.
You know, and so but I think that we can figure out private insurance. I've lived under a socialized system. I lived in Israel for 11 years, and they have a completely socialized system, one that's considered one of the better ones. And I'll tell you, it's great until you have a kid that has a more intricate problem than just the everyday doctor can fix. And I had two. One, I had a daughter that had trouble walking, and my son developed RSV with like a severe case of asthma, which made him, he had to go to the hospital like 3 times in the first 6 months. And I'll tell you, getting to a specialist, getting to someone who could figure things out was next to impossible. Now, if you were sick, it was the greatest system on earth, because if you had like bronchitis, you called up the doctor, you went and saw him for 5 seconds, it cost you $5, and you went out with an antibiotic prescription. There was no problem. Same thing, like, I mean, up to like pregnancy was great. My wife still rails about how great their system was. But when it came to anything complicated, it became much, much worse, like way worse than we have it here. Like they had 5 MRI machines in the country, and they ran 24 hours a day. And when you needed an MRI, they'd go, okay, next January is your date, Saturday at 3 in the morning. And that was it. There was no other way you can get an MRI.
So here's my personal experience. My kid's mom had a really bad cough for months, and it took us 3 separate doctors that we had to go to from 3 separate hospitals for the final doctor to finally give her the correct diagnosis. She had stage 4 non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. Okay,
it took my brother-in-law had that.
Yeah, don't be sorry, she survived. So, but like it took us like over a month of shopping around at doctors to actually get that diagnosis. This idea that like because doctors are privatized, that they're like so much better and more amazing in the United States, I don't know if that's true. And then also, as much as people don't like to say it, or as much as Republicans don't like to admit it, I guess access is important. I have moles on my body. I turned 30 years old, and it's like, hey, maybe I should just go get them checked out. Because people say that when you start to turn 30, you start to get health issues checked out. And I remember that when I went to I don't even remember what the name of the doctor is, but it was basically a doctor that looked over my body, checked all my moles, and then he talked to me about potentially getting a biopsy for one on my back. But he said that if I wanted to get that biopsy, it was going to cost me about $150, and he asked me if I could afford it at that time. So I can afford it. I don't care. I'm rich, okay? Whatever. But if I was a poor person and my life was coming down to whether or not I had the money to afford the doctor to take a sample of some tissue and test it, I mean, how good is my healthcare if I can't afford it, right? I don't disagree with you. America has the best healthcare in the world. We absolutely
It's hard to visualize
fly
it.
from all over the world to get operations here, but that doesn't mean anything if people can't access it, right? So,
but I mean,
and then like this idea this idea with like, you know, like, oh well, the doctors are just not good, blah 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 blah. I mean, we can look at cancer survival rates around the world. We can look at infant mortality rates around the world. We can look at all these diseases. It's not like America kills it, right? Notice how it's never a Republican response. You'll always hear these talking points where it's like, oh, well, when it comes to these issues, you know, it's hard to find a doctor. I know that's not true, because if it was true, you wouldn't be telling me a story about your wife. You would be saying, well, why is America's cancer survival rate 400% superior to the general Europe, to other OECD countries? Why is it that we have, you know, like hypertension or heart rate, blah, blah, blah? Why is it that we are leading the world in all these health outcomes? And you tell us, but that's not true, and everybody knows it. So that's why we always have to go to these personal stories, because we know that the numbers aren't on our side.
I honestly, I don't have an answer to that, because I don't look into the overall numbers on it.
Mm-hmm.
I look more into the philosophy of it, in that I don't trust the government to handle these kind of things. And I also know
what you trust private companies? Why?
Recourse, in all honesty. I
So
can sue
that's
a private company, and I know that I can get some level of justice.
So
whereas suing the government, you never get shit.
First of all, you can sue the government, and you could be more likely to get money from the government than a private company, because guess what? If a private company goes bankrupt, you're fucked. I got scammed. I don't know how long you've been in the streaming game. You ever heard of Owned TV?
No.
Oh, a competitor opened up a Twitch a long time ago. I switched it over to them for a while. They didn't pay me for a single subscription I ever had, okay? That company went out of business. They owed me $30,000. I don't get anything. I can't sue them. It's a private company. They're out of business. I can't sue any of the owners of the company or any of the people that made money off of it, because, hey, the company went out of business, so I'm shit out of luck. So the idea that I can hold a private firm more accountable than the government
That doesn't make sense. Also, the government is the ultimate form of accountability. I can vote out politicians. You can't do that with a private company. Like, if Walmart fucks you over somehow, say you do so and say you do win. Who cares? It's not like the management is changing. The owners aren't going to change. There's zero accountability for a private firm. The only accountability they have is to their shareholders. As long as their stock price isn't going down, they don't give a fuck what people think about them. So I don't know. I don't agree with that idea that there's no accountability in government when we can literally vote the people out, but there is accountability in the private market where businesses can like, how much accountability was there in 2007 when Wall Street crashed? Like, those were private companies. There's no accountability there.
No, you have a good point, and I'm not going to argue that you don't have a good point. I'm just, again, maybe it's just I'm going by personal experience. I got injured when I was overseas, and again, I couldn't sue anybody because the government had a process. I got paid a certain amount of money, and it wasn't close to enough to cover my injury. But people that get hurt here, when they sue a private company, they at least get enough money, usually to cover their injuries and pain and suffering and things like that.
Hopefully.
And I know. Hopefully, yeah. Obviously, every system has flaws. I just see, like, when you look at the government taking over student loans, they're next to impossible to discharge in bankruptcy. You know, but any other loan you can discharge in bankruptcy. The government, when they say, okay, well, we're gonna commit tax dollars to this, then they take
Is that going well? Oh,
in any way, shape, or form get rid
go
of it.
on these poses.
I mean, I guess, what do you mean by recourse?
The idea that you can in an acceptable amount of time be heard in court or settle your case to a way that you can be compensated for a loss.
I mean, like, but like one of the examples that I gave earlier that I was surprised about our government is that, like, so
I'm gonna
in New
steal
York
it.
City
I'll
alone,
go get it.
they
I'm gonna
settled
steal my
$1
I'm gonna steal my
Clearly, there's
own concept. It's just
and
so
retribution.
I know what I want to do there. That I think I got a good idea. I think that pose is a good pose. I have to say, it is a good pose. Oh gosh, well, yeah.
Level something might work, but the problem is healthcare can't work on a local level because otherwise, what you're going to have is suburbs with superior medical care and cities with really shitty medical care.
Sure, but I mean, like, that's kind of I mean,
So
I almost
maybe-
sort of advocated for something like that earlier. So I agree
So,
that
if I just,
tying health insurance to the jobs is bad, but getting
do
these group
that.
pools is important for getting like good coverage. If
copy
we got rid
that,
of
let's
private
copy
insurance
it to
tied to our
anyone.
jobs and
Just
everybody's
delete
going to
this,
buy
don't need that.
individual
Away.
insurance shit, that stuff is
And then-
expensive. I'm a relatively healthy, young-ish person, and like even just for me, healthcare is like for the worst plan, highest deductible plan possible, like $250 a month. That's a lot of money for some people, right? And for people with families, like you're looking at 4 figures sometimes. And if there's a health issue there, whew, that stuff can get really expensive really quickly. So I mean, like we would have to have some type of pool of people to draw from still. And I don't know, this just being ran by the government just is so simple. It makes these things so much simpler to figure out.
See, I just don't see. I mean, look, I'm not one of those people who says that Obamacare was just terrible because for me, Obamacare is. I've been an independent contractor for forever. Like I've owned my own business since I'm 19 years old. So I've always had, since Obamacare started, I've had to get health insurance from the exchanges. Now, at this point, I have so many dependents, I would literally have to be rich in order to not qualify for Medicare for my kids. Like they force my kids onto Medicaid, I mean. And I don't have that many complaints, to be honest with you. But again, I think that's because it's being handled at a local level. I mean, New Jersey has a far superior Medicaid system than a lot of other states. And also, I mean, as I said, I'm forced to take it, but I mean, I'm only paying, I think, $230 for me and my wife, though. And we have our deductibles, I think, like $50 or something like that. So it's not a bad system. I mean, I just think that if you're going to mandate anything, it's better to mandate away from being employer-based, because employers are always going to look to offer you the least amount of possible if they're forced to give it to you.
Yeah, of course.
It's a negotiating point. If you're saying, like, look, I won't work unless it's for $100,000 plus this level of insurance, fine. But if they're forced to give it to you, they're going to give you the shittiest option they possibly can, you know, in order to comply with whatever law they have to comply with. And that, I think, it's again a broken system. I should be able to take my plan with me. If I have a plan that I think works for me and it costs X amount a month, and I want to go to another job and keep that plan, it shouldn't be that I have to go, okay, well, now it's $10,000 a month because my employer isn't covering part of it. Like, that should be a part of my negotiations with a new employer.
Sure, which is why I like the idea of a public option. If you've got private insurance and you like it, if you've got something for your job and you like it, yeah, you should be able to keep it. I don't think we should be taking away all of that or making private insurance illegal like with Bernie's insane plans.
But why would anybody offer private insurance if the public option is free?
I mean, it would depend on what. Well, the public option wouldn't necessarily be free for everybody. But like maybe, but even if I'll go farther. Okay, let's say that the public option is free. Maybe there are just some things that you want to pay extra for. Maybe when I go to the hospital, maybe I want to have fucking Asian massagers and music playing in the background or some crazy shit. I don't know. And there's like an extra upcharge for that the public option doesn't cover. Then yeah, people should have the right to pay for extra shit if they want it. Or maybe there's like MRI machines that you are more available quicker or something. Or if you want to pay for access to something like that, I don't think that should be illegal. If people have the money for it, they want to spend it, that's fine. Or maybe you're like 94-year-old grandma that gets like a fucking tumor. Maybe in the public option, like we don't have the money to pay for every single operation for people that are 150 years old. But if you have private money, yeah, then pay for it. Like I think that's fine if you want to do that. If you want like a private baby suite, yeah, if you're like pregnant and you want to have your own little special room with pink curtains or some shit to take your baby out, like, yeah, I think that stuff is okay. If people want to pay for it, that's fine.
Funny enough, that's actually how the system worked in Israel, is that if you had an appointment to see a specialist, and let's say it was a month away, you could see him privately, which meant you pay for it out of pocket, but that's all it was, and you could probably see the guy the next day. You know, like they had certain amount of hours per day that they gave to private practice.
Sure, yeah.
So, and I had no problem with, because I don't mind paying.
To be clear, a lot of European countries do that. People always make it sound like Bernie Sanders' plan was in line with other European. That's not true. Bernie Sanders was proposing something that was far more radical than any European country has for healthcare. So yeah, I think that like having something that's more comparable to some of the multi-payer systems found across Europe, France, Germany, Italy, like that's fine. Like if you want to pay for private shit, you can do it. But we have a public option for people that can't afford it. I don't know how you feel. Maybe it's because I have a more international audience now. I have an international girlfriend that lives in Sweden. I have a son. I look at the world, and I look at my country specifically in a lot of different ways now. Like, the fact that we have so much wealth in this country, and then we have people that can't afford insulin. It used to be something that was like intellectual for me, like, oh well, you know, the numbers make sense if you produce this much, you know, goods and services, blah, blah, blah. But now it's a more visceral feeling. It's actually like embarrassing for me. Like when I'm driving around like LA with Melina and she like sees like under every single overpass the tents and tents of homeless people, and she's like, holy shit, I thought that was just in the movie. I can't believe that. Like, that's actually embarrassing to me. I cringe physically. Or when Melina tells me that, like, if she wants to go do testing, if we get regularly tested for, like, STDs, for her to do that in Sweden is literally free. She makes an appointment, and she has to wait, like, 3 days for it. And if I want to do it in America, I got to pay, like, $350 for the same test. And if I was poor, I just wouldn't be able to afford it. I don't know, it's embarrassing to me. Like, I don't think that my country should be like that. We should be able to do better than that. Like, when I hear about the great things America's done, it's sad to me that I have to go back 10, 20, 30, 40 years to find that. And everything that we're doing currently is just so bad compared to the rest of the world. I don't know. I don't think it has to be that way.
Well, I mean, there's a couple points, and I hate to use, like, one typical Republican talking point, but it happens to be true.
Sure.
We innovate the best medical technology on the planet, and we do that because of the financial incentive.
Yeah, but we can't. You don't think we can do that? And you don't think there's enough wealth here that we couldn't continue to innovate on medical stuff and get like health insurance to people that don't have the money to pay for it? We can't do both. Like,
but I mean, we have Medicaid. We have a system for people that can't afford it.
We have something for people below the poverty line, but that doesn't cover all of the working class poor people that like. For instance, so we had to do so much random paperwork when me and Rachel were together. Because when me and Rachel were together and we filed our taxes together, the way that our income was reported, I had to buy some of those cancer drugs. Jesus Christ. I remember one of the times we went to the hospital after Rachel got her diagnosis, and there was some pills that we needed. I think it was literally $1,000 for one treatment of this pill that I bought for one day. And after that, I was like, okay, we have to get you on like fucking Medicaid because I can't afford this. But because of the money that I made, there was no fucking way, because I think I was making like around like $110,000 that year. So like I'm not qualifying for any of that. But that just because I make like a very, very low six-figure income, that doesn't mean that I can pay thousands of dollars every single week for her cancer treatment, right? I have other bills and shit. Like, I can't do that. So like, yeah, Medicaid exists, but that's like for the poorest of the poorest of the poorest of the poor, and it misses the entire working class that is making enough money to survive but can't afford the luxuries of it, which is crazy to me.
But I mean, again, I'm not saying that we couldn't figure something out. I'm just saying that I haven't seen any proof that our government is capable of figuring out shit. And the thing you said, like you drive past, you see the homeless tents and all that. Oh, okay, I agree that we could fix it. I'm just curious as to why we're not.
I mean, the first thing that it takes, the first and second thing, of any problem ever, the very first thing you have to do is you have to recognize that there's a problem. And for a lot of people, we can't even do that. A lot of people think that homeless people are there because they choose to be, because they're lazy. A lot of people think that every American could have health insurance, but people are just dumb or they don't know where to get it. So we don't even recognize that it's a problem. And then once we recognize that it's a problem, then the political will has to exist in order to get things done, you know? A lot of kids, a lot of liberals talk about like, oh, like we should fix climate change. I want to fix climate change. Okay, cool. Well, will you donate $100 a month in order to do it? Like, oh, hold on, fuck no. Okay, I don't care about climate change that much, right? It's like, okay, well, do you care about it or do you not, right? A lot of people will say things, or look at the UK, right? I want to Brexit. I want to leave the EU. Okay, fine, that's cool. Well, here's how we're gonna do it. No, here's how we're gonna do it. No, here's okay. Well, fuck. Like, I mean, what we need what are we gonna do, guys? Like, yeah, I mean, like you have these problems that exist, but nobody's. It's very easy to say that I want to solve a problem. But then when it comes time to addressing, like, okay, well, how do we actually solve it? And nobody wants to make a sacrifice for it, right? How many people, I remember hearing about this in my own city, how many people in Omaha are like, you know, we need to fix our schools. We got to fix our schools. It's a shame that teachers get paid $40,000 a year, blah, blah, blah. They have to buy school supplies. This is bullshit. We need to fix our schools. Like, oh, okay. Well, time to raise property taxes like 1% so that we can like get some more money in the system. Nope, wrong. Voting that shit down. No fucking way you're gonna touch property taxes. Voters will crucify for you to do that. It's like, okay, well, you guys want to fix things, but nobody wants to give anything to do it. I don't know. I think.
But we do it here. That's why maybe that's why it's a foreign concept to me. I mean, I pay double in property tax what I do for my mortgage. So, and I mean, my kids go to private schools, so they get
wait,
no
hold on. Wait, you pay double in property taxes than you do for your mortgage?
Yep. I pay over $1,000 a month in property tax.
That sounds interesting. I can't argue with you. Obviously, if you're right, then you are. I just don't know. Damn.
New Jersey has
a lot of people in chat are saying New Jersey is insane. So yeah, okay.
It is. It's just the way that it is.
Mm-hmm.
But we have great schools in my town.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and most of the towns around me have great schools.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't live in like I live in a very working class town. There's no mansions in my town. Like a 5-bedroom is you know, unheard of in my town.
Mm-hmm.
But we have great schools, and that's because we pay the money for it, and we've all made this kind of group commitment that this is something we're going to do.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of the towns have, and even the inner cities have made some level of commitment
Mm-hmm.
to better their school. Like my mother worked there, she's retired, but she worked there in an inner city school. Like they put a shit ton of money towards the VOTEC program because they knew that it was necessary for the inner city kids.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and even a school that was generally not the best, because all inner city schools are not generally the best. They had one of the top VOTEC programs in the country.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and it's because we made that commitment to ourselves to do that, and we have done.
Why
So
can't we
maybe-
can't make that kind of commitment on like a countrywide level? It's just not possible.
I don't know how we make, because I mean, like I have a friend who lives in Appalachia, right?
Mhm.
Like he drives miles to go see a doctor.
Mhm.
There's no capital investment whatsoever into the poor of the country. There's plenty in the poor of New York City,
Mhm.
or the poor in Newark, or the poor in Chicago. But when it comes to the poor, the rural poor, there's no commitment whatsoever by anybody to help them. So to make the national commitment, my problem is that the national commitment tends to prioritize one type of poor over another type of poor, and that doesn't work for me.
Well, so like the reason why we prioritize some poors over others is because the cost per person to help is so much different, which sucks, and it's not really fair. But like, if I could choose, like I could set up a hospital in some rural place in Nebraska, or I could set up a hospital outside of like a suburb or something in New York City. Like in Nebraska, that hospital might serve like 100 people within like a 50-mile radius. Whereas like if I set it outside of like a major city, well, it's going to serve way more. And that sucks, but the only way that you can get help for those people is literally going to come through some sort of government investment, because the private investment's not going to be there, because there's no incentive, right? Because you're not going to reach as many customers.
But as I said, I could accept that if I saw it happening. If I saw the government, like, because the government already pays a shit ton of money into the healthcare system, regardless of how private we want to claim that it is.
Mhm.
You know, there still is a massive investment by our government, especially when it comes to emergency room care, and they're not putting the money into the rural poor, regardless of how many people it will help.
I mean,
You
but there
know?
are hospitals out there, right? And like the post office will deliver mail to any address in the U.S. So like, I mean, like it's there, right?
No, their healthcare system is wildly lacking, and because of that, their insurance rates are through the roof.
Sure.
Like, I mean, if you look,
Go ahead.
if you look at like the rates through the Obamacare exchanges, that I mean, you said you're from what, Oklahoma?
I live in
Like-
California now, but I'm from Nebraska, so that's what I'm.
Nebraska.
Yeah.
But when you look at the rates that people pay out there, like a single person who's not eligible for subsidies, they're $10,000 deductible, $1,000 a month for insurance because there's one carrier, and the services are so spread out that nobody takes anything. You know, so it's almost like pointless to have an Obamacare program.
Well, but like the only thing that would solve these cases though would be more government intervention. You have to get in there and force it down through like taxpayer money from across the country, or at least across the state. Because privately, that's never going to get solved for it because there's just not money to invest there to make money back, right?
But I mean, there does seem to be the money to invest there. If the money was there to invest, I'm sure if people saw a result of their money, that they would be more than happy to do it. Like, I always say this, that if a government that actually worked on infrastructure is one that would probably never be unelected. You know, because people, when they see nice roads, when they see nice airports, when they see, you know, bridges that don't fall apart, when they see actual things that better their lives, they tend to have a higher trust in government. When you pay your taxes into a system where you don't actually see any results from your money, other than a kick-ass military, which, I mean, come on now at this point. You know, I mean, we don't see the value in our investments, so we don't see the reason to make more investment. And that's why it's so hard to convince people that the government is actually there to provide anything.
I mean, I guess it just depends on what it is you're looking for. Like, and then also, like, the investments that we make, we don't always see them because they're not always for us. So, for instance, people talk about how much of a failure, like, Obamacare is, or the ACA. The ACA didn't do anything to help prices. That's 100% true. Nobody can ever deny that because it didn't. However, the ACA made healthcare available to some like 13 million people that didn't have it before. Like, those people's lives were demonstrably improved by having access to the ACA. Like, without the ACA, these people are fucked.
That, well, I do agree with you on that. It also increased costs for a lot of people that were perfectly happy with their health insurance plan.
Sure, it did. And it wasn't perfect, and it did it. And the cost of healthcare has continued to increase. It was before the ACA, to be clear. Also, a lot of that increase in cost, too, was because the ACA brought in line a lot of medical insurance with what it was supposed to be doing before, regardless. So, for instance, not only, people always talk about things like pre-existing conditions, but there were also a lot of companies that would weasel out of paying for, weasel out of paying claims when they were, when people tried to make claims because of like random bullshit. Like the ACA made a lot of those kinds of practices illegal, or made it so that if you're health insurance, you have to cover some basic things. Because you could get insurance before, and there would be like no copay or any help on like prescriptions, or no copay or any help on like basic doctor visits. It's like, well, what the fuck is the point of this? So the ACA got rid of a lot of those like really shoddy plans, which also drove the price up a little bit as well. Sure. But yeah, I mean, it didn't help for price. No one should ever debate that point. It definitely, like, things have continued to get more expensive. But again, like, it's not like what we had before was any better. Like, there were still tons of people that just weren't ever covered by anything. It's like, it's so bad.
I agree. I agree that you have a point, and I think that's one thing you can credit the ACA with, is that it moves the goalposts. No one is talking right now about changing any type of government program that will get rid of pre-existing conditions. You know, where no one's talking about going back to a time where they could deny you for pre-existing conditions. You know, whether even if the Republicans got their dream proposal, it would still be a proposal where a risk pool was created for people with pre-existing conditions, right? Because no one would stomach that right now. No one would stomach going back to that system. But how much did we lose in doing that? And that's the question that I continuously go for. And again, I come back to guns because it is a big issue with me. I like the fact that I can protect my family. I like the fact that the rest of the country values the fact that I can protect my family. And being in a blue state, I've always been told, well, why do you need this? Why do you need that? The police will protect you. The police will protect you. And I've always said, because the day could come where they won't. And I don't want to have to argue that I need to take this right back. You know, it was given to me for a reason. I believe in that reason. And now I look at what's going on and I think, thank God I have that reason. Because the police aren't protecting people in a lot of different areas. You know, police are letting shit get burned to the ground. Police are letting these riots happen. Like, they're boarding up half of DC right now just over an election because they're afraid that they're going to burn down half the city. Like, for me, I would rather the government stay out of that right, because losing that right, I know I'll never get it back. And that's kind of where I feel on a lot of these different things.
There's a really, really, really good speech. You're familiar with Scalia, Antonin Scalia, or whatever, late Justice? He gives a really good speech in front of Congress having to do with rights. And one of the things he talks about is that like rights on paper don't really mean anything. that there are other
For
countries that have existed, like the USSR, that had a far superior constitution to the United States. There were way more rights that were delegated out specifically in these texts than anything our Constitution provides for. But the difference is, in the United States, we have strong institutions that guarantee those rights. And that at the end of the day, yeah, your rights come down to the institutions that exist to protect them, not just what's on paper. So when somebody tells me that we have all these freedoms in the United States and all that, and we do have a lot in some ways that I think are really cool, and I appreciate that, I'm trying to think of it from the perspective of somebody that can't afford things. How much do these rights matter? So, for instance, if we made it so that every single gun in the United States cost $20 million, does your right to own a gun actually exist at that point? Like,
No.
yeah, like you can. Like, you can go out and buy one, but if you can't afford it, well, who the fuck cares? Like, that right delegated to you literally means nothing. And I look at, like, other services related to that in the same way. Like, yeah, it's cool that we can own guns, but, like, I think that there are probably more people on the planet that want, like, healthcare and a good education for them and their children than people that want to own guns to protect themselves. And again, to be clear, I love guns, and I don't think anybody should fuck with them. But, like, to talk so fervently about firearms and how important it is for every American to possess a firearm, like, I've never had a moment in my life with my son Nathan where I felt like I needed my Glock 17 to make his life better. But my son also he has Van der Wood syndrome, had medical problems growing up. And man, dude, we had him in all sorts of speech therapy and a lot of, like, examinations to see if he needed surgery. If I was a poor person, I wouldn't be able to afford any of that. My son would just be fucked. He would be talking like a retard throughout all of his schooling, and he'd just be fucked if we couldn't afford any of those extra services. And all I can think of is because I'm a big streamer now and I make a lot of money now. But before this, when we were pregnant, when we had him, I cleaned carpets professionally. If I would have carried through with that same job, all the freedoms in the world that are promised to me by my American Constitution wouldn't have meant anything for my son that would have just grown up with a massive speech impediment and potentially have fucked, physiological problems because I wouldn't be able to afford any of the treatment for him. And I don't know, that really fucks with me. That super bothers me. That if I don't have money, I lose my rights in the United States. That it's a country for the rich.
You see, I can hear that a little bit. There's a level of sympathy I have to it. But at the same time, the market is what usually drives costs down. The market is, I mean, people like to talk about ulcers, right? In the 80s, having an ulcer was, like, I think one of the top medical problems that wasn't fatal in the United States. And it would cost like $40,000 to $50,000 to have your ulcer treated surgically. Now you take a pill. You know what I'm saying? And that pill, like, yeah, it might cost $1, and that might sound like a lot per pill, but it's much better than $40,000 for a surgery, and we couldn't do that, I don't believe, if we had a government-run system.
It's possible, but something that we have to think about for what do markets do? Markets aren't there for the public good. Markets are there
for the private good. I agree.
Well, yeah, So when I used to play StarCraft 2 professionally a long time ago. And I gave lessons for people because people do that, believe it or not, for video games. They'll buy lessons from famous people because they want to hang out with you for an hour because they want to blah, blah, blah. So here's what I noticed with my scheduling, okay? If I scheduled 20 lessons, I could schedule them for $20 an hour, okay? 20 lessons for $20 an hour. But what I noticed was that if I raise my prices to $40 an hour, I'm going to get way less buyers. I'll get 10 buyers, okay? But would I rather sell $20 of lessons for 20 hours, or would I rather sell $40 of lessons for 10 hours? I'll make the same amount of money, but I have to do half the work in the other one, right? So when we talk about things like healthcare, right? Healthcare in a private industry isn't solving for the public good. It's solving to maximize costs. If I can sell 10 services to 10 people, or I can sell 10 services, or services to 10 people for $1,000, or services to 1,000 people for $10, I'm better off going with the fewer people at the higher profit margin because I'm going to make more money doing it. Like, I don't think that a private system ever is designed to maximize the public good. That's just not what markets do, and that's fine. I don't think markets should do that. That's just not how markets work. But I think we have to recognize the powerful parts of capitalism is that, well, capital is allocated incredibly efficiently in ways to make money. But I think it's our job as the government to kind of guide those people so that they're making money in effective ways that benefit society. I think that's an important concept to understand, that just because markets are powerful and markets exist doesn't mean that markets solve for the public good. They only solve for the stakeholders or the shareholders of that company. And it's not all the time that those shareholders, that their goals are going to be aligned with the public good.
You see, I agree with that. I don't believe the government has proved an effective tool of aligning with the public good either.
But they do. I mean, Medicare and Medicaid are, you said it yourself, are incredibly popular programs. That I don't hear people complain about it. Like, Medicare and Medicaid are incredibly popular public programs. Like, they just are.
I hear people complain about. I'm just saying I don't. But that could be because where I live. Like, I mean, I'm in a very densely packed state. So I know a lot of people have problem with Medicaid and finding providers that will take it. The providers are limited here as well, but it's just there's so many of them that I haven't had a problem. You know. And look, there's something to be said. It's nice going to the doctor, giving a card, and then never worrying about paying for it. And that's what Medicaid provides. Because I mean, when I take my kids to the doctor, I hand them the card. I mean, maybe there's a $5 copay, or it's not anything like astronomical. But they pay for it. You know, my one daughter needed braces. It was paid for. I mean, if I had private insurance, that would have cost me thousands of dollars. You know, and as I said, this isn't a case of me wanting to be on Medicaid. I'm not allowed to get my kids private insurance unless I want to pay $3,000 a month for it.
Yeah.
Because the exchanges won't allow me to, because of the amount of dependents I have. You know, so I mean, I don't argue that it's a bad system. I just don't argue that it's an optimal system. I argue that it's a system that winds up costing. I mean, I think more than half our national budget goes to Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid.
Well, I mean, like that's under our non-discretionary spending, and it is a large amount. The entitlements are huge. However, Social Security is a system that we also pay into, right? So it makes sense that a lot of it be paid out as well, right? But I mean, like, if you look at like the total amount of per capita healthcare expenditure in the United States, it's huge. Like, we blow past every other OECD country, and we don't get anything for it. Like, I think we spend like twice as much as the next country on our healthcare, and not everybody's covered. We have no paternity and maternity leave. Our survival rates for any major diseases aren't really any better than any other European countries. Like, I don't know, like, what do we get for our money? Like, when people talk about like how efficient or inefficient our system is, like, that's one thing that I look at: money in, and then outcomes out. And I look at the outcomes and I look at the money in, and something clearly is not working here. And all these other countries with all these with all these public options or single payer systems all seem to run so much more efficiently than ours in terms of cost to outcome.
I mean, cost to outcome, I don't know how true that is, because I mean, when I lived overseas, right? I paid 40% of my income in taxes, and that money never came back. There was no tax refund at the end of the year. There was no, earned income child tax credit or anything like that. It was 40% out of my paycheck, and that was it. Here, I mean, most years I get back more than I put in, and so do most people, to tell you the truth. Like, until you get to a certain income level, like, you get back way more than you wind up putting into the system in your tax refund.
Wait, that's generally not true. That can be true at very, very low income levels through things like, I don't know if the child tax credit is refundable, but I know that the earned income tax credit, EITC, I know that is refundable. So it's possible that at very low incomes with dependents, that you could be getting back more than you pay in. But that's only true at like that's only true at low income levels with lots of dependents, I think. Like, generally, that's not true.
I have so many dependents that, like, low income is very relative. Like, I make low six figures, but I still, because of the amount of dependents I have, I still get back, quite a bit of money.
Sure.
Like, so, but I'm just saying that a lot of times what we consider as to what we're paying into the system, we're not actually paying into the system. Like, most people get even some of it back. Let's say they get 50% of what they put in back. So if you're paying 25% and then you get 50% back, you're paying 12.5%. All of a sudden, like, that's not really the same amount going in, and it's not really like, what am I getting for my money? In most other countries, the amount they pay into the system is huge in relation to the amount of money they take home. So I'm just saying that we're spending a lot of money, but that's because we're also.
I don't know what to do here. Jeez.
And I think if you were to tell people that we were going to start putting money in, like, a percentage a governmental health system, I think people would just say no. People freak the fuck out.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I was only talking, I don't know, like, total tax or like, putting money in America. I was only talking specifically in regards to how much America spends on tax. Like, we spend.
I don't know what poses to do. I'm really
I was talking more specifically. So, like, I think if you Google, like, America healthcare spending, like, per capita or whatever, that, like, our spending per capita is far, far, far above every other country, even the socialized healthcare system. It seems like we spend more on healthcare related things, which is confusing.
It's confusing, but the number is also skewed. We have this retarded system here in this country where we allow for emergency rooms to take care of everybody regardless of whether they can pay or not. And in an emergency room, you'll pay $80 for an aspirin. And, you know, like, God forbid you're actually really injured and they have to do something for you. You're talking hundreds upon hundreds of thousands of dollars. Those things should be routine if you have health insurance, you know?
Sure, but I mean, like, there's two things. One is every other country in the world is going to be like that. And two, I mean, what is the alternative? If somebody shows up in an emergency room, do you send them away and let
No,
them die?
not at all. I'm just saying that that's a big part of what accounts for our massive amount of healthcare spending.
I don't think that's a huge part of our spending, and also other countries have to do the same. It's not like if in Norway, if I get like sick or if I'm like dying and I go to an emergency room, they're like, can you pay? Nope, then get out, right?
No, but it's not like that. But what I'm saying is because their system is universal, right? They don't pay $80 for an aspirin in an emergency room, but $8 for an aspirin if you go into your primary care doctor or you go to a pharmacy.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. However, like, that's another reason for having like a universal system, is because if people are covered and they're more likely to get like preventative care or routine checkups, then they're less likely to run into medical emergencies that's going to fuck over them or the economy.
I don't have a problem with universal standards. I have a problem with government bureaucracy. That always comes down to what it is for me. I also have a problem with if the government is the one who makes the decision who lives and dies. I always feel like they're going to make decisions that are going to wind up hurting more people than they're helping.
Well, but like, so people make this bureaucracy argument. I've had a lot of like experience working with businesses and now like as clients or whatever. Large corporations have a lot of bureaucratic shit as well. I mean, like, I don't know, like, what industry specifically. We can talk about video games. We can talk about, like, other types of companies. We can talk about, like, gaming. I had a bit of experience in the casino industry. Like, this idea that large companies are these, like, Swiss Army knife, ultra-efficient, like, clockwork things.
Right.
Like, there's a lot of corruption and inefficiency and bureaucratic bloat in large companies as well. I don't think that they escape that.
Well, what I'm saying, though, is that, like, when you look at the administrative cost of our government system, which is Medicare, Medicaid, or our private system, right? The administrative costs are way less in Medicare, Medicaid. But when you look further into the numbers, it's because the majority of the paperwork that gets done in order to be reimbursed from Medicare, Medicaid is borne by the doctors. It's borne by the providers. That's why a lot of people won't take it. It has nothing to do with the rates at which they pay. It's the amount of work that you have to go through in order to get reimbursed. Whereas private insurance is forced to do it all themselves. So they're forced to hire certain levels of administration that the government isn't, because they just pawn it off on the doctors and make the doctors pay for it. So a lot of times, and it's that kind of like trickery, that kind of bullshit, that makes me not trust the government system, because the government's always going to try to look the best, not be the best.
So I guess my question is, let's say that every single thing you just said is true. Well, let's say that I grant you all of that. Then what is the solution? For
me, I think the solution is more competition.
But like,
I think the problem is we don't have enough competition.
Why is this just hasn't worked in the past? Like before,
because we've never actually tried it.
What were we doing before the ACA?
Jeez.
Before the ACA.
Something like that.
Why not though? What's going to change that? How are we going to get people to compete?
Number one, let them compete across state lines.
Do you think that's going to solve everything though? Like.
No, but I think it helps. I think there's a lot of things that can be done to deregulate and to allow competition, and then we can take it from there. We can take it to the point where we could let the private market make it as efficient as possible until we're at a point where there has to be some level of regulation. And I'm not a person who believes that there's no such thing as a good regulation. You know, there are regulations that are fine, but you have to find that point as to where it's necessary to regulate, because the deregulation has gone too far. And everybody, of course, in the chat is talking about the LASIK eye surgery, example. Is that when it started?
I have not done a horse before, so I don't know how it's going to come out as.
Because the competition got so fierce for such a service that
I can't remember when the last time I actually done a horse
before.
before.
Got so good that it got to the point where it didn't cost anything. And it's something economists cite. I don't know how much I buy into that. It was just the LASIK eye surgery. But it's shown in dentistry and in eye surgery, which are not typically covered by health insurance, that competition has helped lower costs in the long run and produce better outcomes. Whereas I think that we could try that here. We've always tried more regulation and have just seemed to fuck ourselves up worse. Whereas I think we could try less regulation, and as I said, the regulators could come in at the point where we notice that deregulating is now causing more harm than good.
I'd be warmer to that argument. It just, what's your work background? You know, I don't need to know your specific, but I'm just curious, like, what do you do for work approximately?
Business development. I help companies that are going from small companies to getting investment to getting government funding to growing into larger companies.
Okay, awesome, cool. So my guess is that when you're trying to sell something to a company, or when you're helping a company like walk through something, I seriously doubt that every single time you talk to a company, you are building from the ground up a completely new approach to every single thing. I'm sure that you probably know that, like, hey, for a company of your size, this thing tends to work and we can modify this or this. Like, you probably have a ton of blueprints that you work off of whenever you communicate with a given company, because you know stuff that's worked in the past. You know what works, you know what doesn't work, right? I'm guessing.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
And I guess that's just how I view, like, I know from a programming point of view, and from other, well, no, just saying with this, like, typically when you're working with stuff, you don't want to reinvent the wheel. Like, there are so many problems that we need to solve for in society. Like, why try something that no one else has tried when other people do things and we know that it works? And that's just how I view healthcare. Like, there are so many countries that have multi-payer systems that just have awesome healthcare outcomes. Everybody can afford healthcare, and that's awesome. Why try to take some radically different approach that could have incredibly negative or harmful side effects instead of let's just do what everyone else does, and then we'll, like, figure out, like, some other cooler problem rather than, like, stressing over healthcare that every other country seems to have figured out but us.
And again, I hate coming back to your typical, Republican type of argument, but you also have to accept that most other countries have a pretty homogenous population, so it's a lot easier to standardize care. And the one country where they don't have a very homogenous population, which is Canada, are drowning in their healthcare system.
I don't know, like, unless there's, like, I don't know if there's, like, fundamentally different types of care needed for different types of, like, non-homogenous people. Like, what?
Sure there are, because there's different diseases that spring up from different people. There's different levels of drugs that go to different people. There's different drugs that are targeted to different types of people.
So I don't think that, like, for instance, in the United States, I don't think that, like, black people or people with African ancestry being more predisposed to, like, sickle cell anemia is the thing that's driving up healthcare costs in our system. I have a hard time. Like, I know that there are different groups of people with certain ancestry that can be predisposed for certain diseases, but I don't think that that's, like, a major driver in the difference in healthcare costs. Like, I don't think that's...
It's a difference in what's necessary to keep specialists in different healthcare systems. When you have a hospital that opens up in New York, it's serving a much different population than a hospital that opens up in Nebraska, because the populations are so different. So it's very hard to standardize care on a national level when you're dealing with individual populations that are different, and that does drive up costs. And again, I wouldn't have such a problem with it if I just had the example that and Reagan tried this, it failed. He wanted to just provide catastrophic insurance, right? Because if you have to go to the doctor and get an antibiotic, it costs $100 out of pocket to go to the doctor. The antibiotic costs another $50. You should be able to afford. And if you're that poor that you can't, then you have something like Medicaid. If you don't have insurance and you don't want to pay out of pocket, like, whatever. But it failed, because what they found was that people that were going to regular doctors were getting recommended to specialists because they didn't have the money to pay the primary care just to go the step higher, and they could get their catastrophic insurance to cover it because they were going to a specialist. Likewise, I wonder if the opposite would work. If you had to pay for, if you were provided for basic health insurance, like that was something the government provided, but you had to pay for catastrophic insurance. Would that work? Probably not, because if someone gets into a car accident and doesn't have insurance, like you said, a hospital's not going to just boot somebody out on the street when they get pulled in, with a broken neck. So I don't know what the system is that would work. Because Britain, it's not working. They've had to import more doctors than they actually are training in their own country.
Wait, but that's true in the United States as well. That we have a massive shortage of medical professionals, even though we pay ours more than any other country in the world. And also, I think in the UK, I don't think anybody's talking about wanting to get rid of the NHS. Also, they have an incredibly diverse population. Like London, I think, is like 40% non-white people, and their healthcare outcomes are about comparable with the rest of Great Britain. Like, it's not like I don't buy as much into this idea that, like,
different races of people need these like radically trained doctors. That like a heart surgeon is going to cut into like the chest of a Hispanic male, and it's like, fuck, I forgot the hearts on brown people are on the right side, and for white people it's like I don't think that the training is that much different. But, like the level of specialization, like like I can operate on brown and Asian humans, and I can operate like I don't think it's that different. I mean, I stand to be corrected if there's like some medical professional in chat that's like, actually it's dramatically different, but I would be surprised if that was the case.
I'm saying it just adds to cost. I wasn't
Yeah,
saying
it adds to cost the same way that like getting a different trim on your seat in a car might add to cost, but it's going to be inconsequential compared to the overall price of what you're paying, I think. Like to have a doctor trained that might be like a little bit more sensitive to the differences of potential diseases between people. Like, and this is stuff that doctors should be trained about anyway. You should always be looking for stuff like this. Because like, for instance, like sickle cell anemia, that's not something that affects black people. That's something that affects people with a certain like gene with that tend to be predominantly black, but not all the time. Like they can appear white and still have the gene required to develop that disease, and they could be black and not have the gene required to develop that disease. Like there's all sorts of things like that medical professionals. There's a reason why med school is so grueling and arduous, and there's so much you have to learn as a doctor for diagnostics. But
I mean, that's also a huge problem in our country is that, and I know this is a problem in most countries, but in ours it's especially acute, is that we don't have enough spaces in med schools, and that's by design. They don't want to put out too many doctors.
Wait, why not?
Why doesn't the AMA want more doctors?
Yeah, or why would you think
it lowers the profit margins on the ones that are out there. They don't want to flood the market like they do with fluoride.
Wait, I think aren't schools all the time asking for more like people to enroll for like healthcare shit? I thought that was the thing that like colleges
it's
are
really hard to get into med school. I mean, like they turn down, I think 80% of people that apply to med schools.
But isn't that generally on grading? That's not because they're just trying to artificially drive up.
No, I'm saying like in order to get into med school, it's not just because of grading. The grading system is so high that you really have to be an exceptional student to get one of the coveted places. It's not that that everybody who can't get in can't make the cut. It's that the amount of people that apply, there's only so many spaces. So it's just it cuts out a lot of people. A lot of people in America are going to med school in the Caribbean. They try to get in Israel or in Britain or in any place because there's so limited amount of spaces here. It's been a problem for a long time. But again, and this is what I always come back to though, is that all of these problems have been known for a long time and nobody's tried to fix them. You know, it's almost like, okay, do we start like, okay, we've decided we're going to go with this government option, but we can't seem to fix the little shit, let alone fixing the big stuff.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of work to be done, of course. Yeah. Yeah.
I almost gave it so far.
Challenge for all of you. Go to every computer in your
house. I think I got to go to this
Wait, Mom, before you check out.
Magical transformation. How was this? Go for machine. I think that's where we go. Oh, I felt.
Grammarly helps make your writing clear and concise, no matter where you are. Compose a cover letter that stands out thanks to flawless writing and compelling words.
I don't know what pose. I'm running out of poses. I'm like doing it. What the fuck was that? Tired of it. Man, this looks so messy. Oh, I don't know. How should he be holding this sword? I don't even know. This is my greatest weakness, this medieval stuff. I'm really crap at doing this. Oh dear. Okay. I need to think about that positioning properly. I think that's sort of it. I mean, it looks massive, geez, but like it's a excursion. I am so tired. I'm gonna give it a break.